also affects the economy in every single sector.
But he pulled an ad.
Healthcare, whether it's health, does it matter if he's talking about it? He's talking about health.
Yes, it does.
If I could just finish and say that illegal immigration affects every sector of the economy, whether it's healthcare on the local level, schools, security, crime, law enforcement, local resources, federal resources, all of which the president has talked about. And he has indeed talked about the economy repeatedly on the campaign trail in these rallies. So to say that he hasn't been running on it because he decided not to run one ad, I think is not.
It is very popular for D.C. elites to say that it's an unpopular message, but it's worth remembering that Manchin, Sinema, McCaskill, Donnelly all backed border enforcement in the closing days. Those are close. Those are all close races. So if it's such a bad issue, why were Democrats also doing it as well?
It is an economic We're going to let you guys fight over the commercial break, and we're going to bring you back.
So to say that he hasn't
we
been
are
running
quickly
on it
approaching what will be the largest single batch of poll closings of the entire evening. Polls set to close in 16 states coming up at the top of the hour.
And we will check in with some of the key races that are shaping the fight for control of the House and the Senate. Not a lot of those little boxes filled in yet. We got a long way to go here, folks. America's election headquarters continues live from New York City.
We are quickly approaching what will be the largest single batch of poll closings of the entire evening. Polls set to close in 16 states coming up
at Athene, we think it's time for the financial world to stop acting the same old way. You need a partner that is willing to break free from conventional thinking. We are a different kind of financial company. We are Athene, and we are driven to do more.
Smell that? It's crispy, juicy, deep-fried turkey with hints of pepper bacon, Swiss cheese, cranberry spread, and notes of, not burning down your house.
We have the meat
for sandwiches.
Partner that is willing to break free from conventional thinking.
Life happens everywhere, like it never even happened. It only happens here. The cleanup and restoration specialist at 1-800-SERVPRO and SERVPRO.com.
This is the not-for-sale Kia Forte Drift Car. Blistering top speed and excessive amount of horsepower. And this is the totally redesigned 2019 Kia Forte.
Life happens everywhere.
Go back here and go.
The professional race car driver Colette Davis to demo. This is the not-for-sale Kia Forte.
Go.
There's a couple. There's a couple.
The hell? Shut up, Tarv. I was trying to figure out if that was you or what was happening because it was delayed coming back feeding to me. So, sorry, I'm trying to get all this shit working right now. Ugh, it's fucking looping. What the hell? Okay. Central, I'm not. I am going to be live streaming election results because I'm a nerd. Such a nerd. And are you getting both of those or did you just hear it once? Boom. Oh, I know why I'm hitting it. There we go. I got this. It's coming through on each of the streams, so all right. I think we got that straight now. I think. What is going on right now? Why is this? All right. Okay, what it was, Central, is I have all three Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube open. So it was coming through on each one and I was hearing it. So that is why I was getting so much. But I think we're good now. I think I have this figured out for now. Oh, man. And we're going to have some fun because, I need to change Periscope still. How do I do that? Thought I heard somebody at my house. I did not. There we go. Okay. Not sure why it just crashed. You still there, Central? Is it still working for you? Dang, followers galore. Oh, you guys don't have audio. Ha! Let's try that. Let's put some audio in there for you guys to hear.
Now, this
that might make things better.
If Republicans pull off, it's a lot tougher for Democrats to really.
It is funny. I've already kicked on. Like I have CNN running too.
They'd have to run
and
they were thinking Indiana was largely in the back.
They were like already going off about Florida, and like Florida's already, they're ready to call it already for the Democrat. I'm like, what? Flipped over to Fox News and they're up like 30%.
Important issues here.
It's crazy.
In general, he's been trying to run as close to Mike Braun as he possibly can and to portray himself as
crazy.
Moderate. That's something that's been successful for him in Indiana. One of the other interesting elements here is that Lucy Bretton is a libertarian candidate, and Joe Donnelly has been trying to portray her as the true conservative in this race.
And yes, I've seen unmuted.
Might have voted for Hillary Clinton last time around. So they are very close ideologically. At least that's the way they're trying to portray themselves in this race. And as you can see, at 22% in, long way to go here, but Mike Braun appears to be doing well.
You could also look at our probability meter in the corner of the screen over that way. The House at 79% goes to the Democrats, and now 57% that the Republicans hold on. And that has ticked down through the night, suggesting that they could have some tight races ahead to try to keep the majority. Again, the majority 51. You're looking at, as they add up on the screen here, 42-25. Right now, Republicans have 51. Democrats have 47 plus 2 independents caucus with the Democrats. So a lot of info on the screen there, but know that we're looking at some tight races, including
Indiana. What just happened?
And then
Missouri sorry, guys.
Will be set to close at 8 o'clock.
Getting click happy here. So fun story I heard today, listening, kind of trying to figure some stuff out. I heard that on average, they said it's a 35-seat change on the first midterm of an elected president. So this would be Trump's first midterm. And they said on average he loses 35 seats on average. And they said Obama, his first midterm lost,
we shall see.
I think it was like 63. I think my numbers are right there, but yeah, so they kind of said don't panic. If we do lose some stuff, but
as Chris was saying, that was an obvious indicator.
Yeah,
strength for Democrats.
Colorado obviously, guys, isn't closing till 7, so we won't see any results for that. And I apologize for the title if it's misleading, but that's going to be mainly what we cover soon.
Some of the economy.
So we have some serious shiznit going on.
We have the map of the heat map on the issue of the economy. It is a big issue through the country, but it is not a driving force in some of these races early on that we're looking at. You're looking at the balance of power at the U.S. Senate now, but the economy, as we talked about earlier, is strong. The president talks about it, but it doesn't seem to have sunk in some of these early races that is what they're voting on.
Yeah, and healthcare, as we were talking about earlier, has been a pervasive theme for these Democrats as they have been campaigning throughout the course of this whole race.
I will be right back, folks.
The reform bill that was passed by Republicans in the House included the repeal of the individual mandate. It was a main structure of the healthcare bill that they repealed when they fell short of being able to repeal the whole thing, and that's been a very strong message in some of these early districts that we've seen kick in, and that is one of the main factors that we're seeing in terms of strength so far for issues, as far as Democrats are finding some strength.
You know, Chris and Britt, when they come on the set, there's a lot of stuff that happens.
Could you tell that they were coming in to sit down?
There's stuff falling down. You're looking now at the balance of power in the House. Gentlemen, we were talking about those early races, and they are showing us some movement, especially in Virginia.
Yeah, and Virginia 10, but in fairness, it doesn't matter whether it's in fairness to her or not, Barbara Comstock, who's been the congresswoman there for a period of time, that is a seat that should, if you look at the demographics of it, of the population, should be held by a Democrat. And because Barbara Comstock was such an effective candidate, she was able to be a Republican, winning in a kind of Democratic-leaning district, the suburbs outside Washington, out towards Loudoun County in Virginia. But she's in a race this year against Jennifer Wexton, as you pointed out, a state senator. And as we've also pointed out, at the top of the ticket, you've got Tim Kaine, who's running a very strong race as re-election as senator. And Barbara Comstock is in a world of trouble right now.
Yeah, 59% in, and Wexton has a strong lead in that race, and we're seeing some of those other Virginia races as well. And Indiana, we're waiting on Marion County for that Senate race. That is obviously a heavy Democratic area, but so far Braun is leading in some of the areas that he needs to be leading in as the countdown continues to our next poll closings, some of the biggest of the night. It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and polls have just closed. 16 more states as well as Washington, D.C., including 5 with highly competitive elections that will help determine the control of the U.S. Senate. Missouri, Tennessee, New Jersey, Mississippi, and Florida, which also, of course, has a crucial gubernatorial election.
Yeah, one of the closest of these Senate races, as I said a moment ago, has clearly been Missouri, where Democratic incumbent Claire McCaskill is fighting to hang on at this point against challenger Josh Hawley, the state's attorney general. Way too close to call this, and very early in the game as we wait to get some numbers up on the board as that just closes. And Missouri, as Brett pointed out earlier, does not do any early voting. And a pickup by Hawley would give Republicans a crucial plus in the Senate, where their razor-thin majority currently stands at
all right. Sorry, guys. I'm back.
If someone gets a cold or
a phone call there. Had to take care of that.
Senate, and he's hoping that he can expand that tonight. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, another opportunity for a Republican pickup is in Florida, where Republican Governor Rick Scott is trying to oust Democratic incumbent Bill Nelson. The Fox News decision desk does not have enough data yet to project a winner in that race.
Florida, take a look at this one. Too early to say whether Democrat Andrew Gillum, the mayor of Tallahassee, will defeat Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis to replace the term-limited GOP Governor Rick Scott, who, as we just mentioned, is running for the Senate.
And speaking of running for the Senate, Republican Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee currently has a lead over Democrat Phil Bredesen, a former governor, to replace retiring GOP Senator Bob Corker, but it's too soon to project a winner in that race.
Also too soon to call, I should say, is New Jersey, where incumbent Democratic Senator Robert Menendez vying with Republican businessman there, Bob Hugin.
And then there's the special election in Mississippi, which actually may not be settled tonight. That's because no fewer than 4 candidates are competing in a jungle primary. If no candidate receives more than 50% of the vote in Mississippi tonight, then the top 2 finishers, and you're likely looking at them there, advance to a runoff election November 27th, 5 days after Thanksgiving. And we should point out there's a scenario where that takes us to the control of the U.S. Senate. We'll talk about that in a minute.
So, and now a race call in Illinois in the gubernatorial contest. Democratic billionaire J.B. Pritzker will unseat Republican Governor Bruce Rauner to become the richest governor, actually, in U.S. history. So a gubernatorial pickup for the Democrats in Illinois is one that we can call.
Unsurprisingly, Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, a liberal Democrat, will win a second term in Massachusetts.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry.
Presidential run in
Forgot I turned that on, but ugh. Did you see this? Elizabeth Warren won. Damn it.
Earlier in a couple weeks ago.
And in Pennsylvania, Democratic Senator Casey will win a third term by defeating Republican Congressman.
Oh, wow. Vermont Senate Independent won.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy will win a second term.
Kane, he won again. That's not a shock.
Matthew Corey.
We should also mention that the polls are now closed in
I think these are all pretty Democratic seats anyway, so
start getting some early indications.
Probably all right.
Which party will control the House of Representatives?
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
23 seats to pick up that majority.
They're not going to win it. It's not going to happen.
In Florida, we have a lot of vote total.
Okay, here we go. Governor's race in Florida. This is the big one.
I saw you wanted to weigh in on this. This is Andrew Gillum up 50 to 48. We get a lot of early vote total in Florida. We've dealt with Florida a lot, Brett, over the years.
Yeah, and it's obviously important because it has presidential implications.
Dang, that is a close race. What's the percent? 38% in right there. So
Republicans lose, can be later defeated.
That'll be interesting to see what happens.
The Republicans had a very strong candidate, Adam Putnam, who was in the primary against DeSantis. He's now the state agriculture commissioner, which is a statewide office. He was a member of the House for a number of years, and indeed a member of the leadership, considered one of the most promising young politicians in the state. Experienced but young still, very boyish, very attractive, widespread belief in Florida that he would win easily. And Trump threw his support behind DeSantis.
Ooh, Nelson's up on Scott. Oh, that's not good.
And it looks tonight like he might just lose to a very left-wing, although very
that was one of the seats we were hoping to pick up. It's not looking promising.
Tallahassee. That race was swung by
Braun's up. That'd be a pickup for us.
It's possible that Florida splits.
Hope that one goes.
And these races are tight. We don't know yet, but you could have Bill Nelson go down.
For anybody who doesn't know, Star infers incumbent. Just
right.
FYI.
And he would be Nelson would go down to the current governor of Florida, whose term limited out. That's Rick Scott.
Wow.
Who would now become the new
Vermont governor really won big.
I think it's right. You guys obviously are more on top of it than we are.
They said the probability of
the major
the Democrats holding the House. They said 77%.
The key races that are going to
Republicans holding.
No, I don't think that either that one side has held on or that one side has flipped one. I mean, here we are at 8 o'clock tonight. Polls closed, as you say, in
I almost feel like I should put a screen on here and play video games while this is going on. Get out of here.
Again, our probability
I don't care. I don't care.
57% right now. Republicans in control, but when you started the night,
announcement, important info. What is this happening right now?
There's a lot of tight races here.
As you look at the
balance of power,
Discord or something.
To take control, and we're adding up on
do what? Put a game in there? Should I? I don't. Do you think my computer could handle all that? I have freaking 5 things open right now.
I think it's really interesting.
I don't know if it can do that. I just don't know.
Missouri, I don't have it right with me, but I think
quit popping stuff up. I don't care. Oh, by the way, Tarv, I ordered a new Xbox Elite controller, the white one. I'm hoping they fix the right bumper on it. You're a potato. You're a potato.
Has run as far away from the Democrats. She is a Democrat.
Are you streaming right now?
Oh, she's saying to you, Chris, that she
I need to pull you up.
She said, I'm not one of those crazy Democrats. She also said when she was interviewed yesterday.
What were you watching me on? Oh, you're obviously on Twitch. Were you in YouTube too? I had like 3 watching there.
And she also is completely, and I think the interview with you, backed Donald Trump on a hard line on immigration.
See if I can find you.
And a lot of people saying,
Twitch TV.
Yeah, but after the election,
do you like how I wore the Rockies hat today? Since it's Colorado or California. Do you even notice? You didn't even notice, did you? Oh my God! I do not need to remind.
She has definitely aligned with the president. She said there should be
Apple.
She's aligned
Get
with
out of here.
many places as she possibly can. But
There's the Tarv. You are broadcasting right now. I love it.
80% of the time with Chuck Schumer, 67% with Elizabeth Warren.
Is my face too big still, or you think it's all right?
I set you up pretty well there, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. That was good. That was good stuff.
That's good stuff.
So joining us
think
now.
of Josh Hawley, very attractive young guy, promising candidate. Suppose he were running as a Democrat to seat an incumbent Republican. Do you think Beto O'Rourke would have gotten the level of coverage he has with this other young star coming up? I don't think so.
Brett. Oh, Brett. Why do you have a hood on?
You don't get adoring coverage.
Yeah, he has
Tarv, what's happening right now?
Response that Beto O'Rourke has been getting as he's traveled around Texas. So joining us now from Washington, where you guys all usually are, is host of Tucker Carlson Tonight, Tucker Carlson himself. Tucker, good to have you with us tonight. Your observations so far. Hi there.
The Florida race is just amazing. I would add that it wasn't just Republicans who thought that Andrew Gillum would be easy to knock off, but
you look real good, except for that hood.
Washington were convinced they would never win this seat with him running. I mean, there was a primary on the Democratic side, as you know, as well.
If I would have planned this out better, I would have figured out how to have Discord on too, and it not go through the stream. But I don't know how to do that.
126th largest city
Just
in America,
not sure how to do that.
And running on a platform that was unapologetically left-wing. If he wins Florida, of course it has implications, as you noted, for the presidential race, but it also has much deeper implications for both parties. What does that mean exactly? How did that happen? I agree that DeSantis maybe wasn't the strongest candidate. Perhaps Adam Putnam might have won. But the fact is, if Gillum wins, that raises a lot of questions, and I would say that there are probably two answers, and it's the obvious. It's immigration and the economy.
You guys stop in, make sure and say hi. You know we got to keep this exciting, keep it going.
30 years ago was solidly Republican, so was
Otherwise, we're just listening to Fox News, and yeah.
And so they have different electoral results. That has kind of taken place.
You want to switch it up and see? We've been hearing some good stuff here.
Which is weaker
in
ways
mansions up.
that we in Washington
we need to go back. Hold on.
Measures of the economy are GDP and market performance, and both of them are great. But if you look at other indicators slightly beneath the surface, you see that there are a lot of poor people. For example, the single most common living arrangement for young people right now is with their parents.
Wow.
I don't think there's been a time.
This is huge, guys. This is a huge race right here.
And that means that questions like health care are much more real than they have been even 3 cycles ago. I mean, Republicans won, what, 63, I think it was 63 seats in the 2010 midterm on the back of Obamacare, opposing Obamacare. Andrew Gillum proposing universal health care, in effect, Medicaid.
It's crazy they call that with 29%. Never understood that.
It's a pipe dream and ludicrous. And
Never.
It's a mathematical question. It is ludicrous. There's no way to pay for that. But it definitely resonates with a state that's poorer than it looks. And so I think as Republicans think about how did this happen, how did someone who is not as impressive as you would imagine a governor of a major state would need to be, Andrew Gillum, how did he win, if indeed he does win? I think it's important to think through what's actually happening here. You know, it had nothing to do with Russia or Stormy Daniels. There's real stuff going on.
Yeah,
I need to check Periscope because I was getting an error.
Built a grassroots campaign from the beginning. He sort of arrived on the scene. A lot of people didn't know who he was.
We're golden.
He's the mayor of, relatively smaller city in the United States. But his appeal, I think that's also something that I'm kind of watching in terms of the trend of the evening. Charismatic.
Interested to see how that one turns out. That's a pretty big gap already. But that was one we think we may pick up.
In other words.
Absolutely.
But they didn't. But I would argue in this case they didn't. I mean, I don't think if you had assembled a group of 20 Democratic political consultants,
82%.
Draw your dream candidate.
This guy cracks me up. I'm not sure how to take him as a governor. He had the really funny video with the guns, where he had the guy who wanted to date his daughter. It's pretty funny.
The hard left,
pretty funny stuff.
Are a little bit more popular than we want to think they are. I think that's personally, I think that's ominous. But it doesn't make it any less true. So why is it that Beto O'Rourke, for example, I think will probably lose tonight, but he's coming a lot closer than he should be in the state of Texas. Again, 2 causes. Immigration has changed the demographics in Texas, and 2, some of this populist economic stuff is more popular, again, than we want to think it is.
Tucker, as always, thank you. We've got to make a call here.
Yep, the Fox News
making a call.
Can now project that the incumbent Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown, as expected, will win a 3rd term by defeating Republican Congressman
Ooh, boo.
This has always been, Sherrod Brown's race to lose, essentially, and he appears to be doing well tonight.
Yeah, he's going to win, and he calls himself a progressive populist. Following on what Tucker just talked about, bringing back Chris and Britt. You're looking, Britt, at these states, Florida, Ohio, Missouri, and automatically we start thinking about 2020 and how important they are in that picture.
Exactly, and Florida, of course, has been so pivotal in recent elections that having control of the state house is very helpful. I mean, a lot of people felt that if it hadn't been for Jeb Bush in the governor's chair in Florida in 2000, W might not have pulled it off down there. I want to mention one thing. I noticed that our needle on the Senate has begun to point more favorably toward the Republican control. I've been keeping track.
I would be very, very surprised if that's the case, but
Republicans up in
it'd be good.
% range.
Very good for us.
92% Republicans keep the Senate among the people who bet. The House, meanwhile, which was up in the 60s for Democrats getting control of it, that's up to 78%. So people who
we're going to win some Senate seats, lose some House. You know, that's not a big shock, though, with as little money and little leadership as the House has right now, with Speaker Paul Ryan deciding he's done being the speaker. Not a big surprise there that they're not doing very well.
It's interesting because
unfortunately, I think Colorado's probably going to lose a seat. I hope it's not ours. That'd be really bad. But
are
hopefully.
Trying to defend 10 seats in states that Donald Trump won in 2016. What's interesting is that some of them were absolutely on the board, like Indiana, like Missouri, but some of them
pulling the streams up. So
Ohio, a state that
if anybody has issues, feel free to jump in and tell me, because I won't know. Got them all open, but
same thing in Pennsylvania, a state that
want to make sure. Want to make sure people can hear and see.
Never really had any challenge there as well. So it does, again, Senate races are different than House races. I think people feel more of a connection, more of a history with the senators, but clearly some senators, despite the power of Donald Trump and those
I got to do this because this guy cracks me up.
Re-election.
I mean, 5 of them, Democrats, were running for re-election in states that Trump won by 20 points or more.
Wrong screen. Let's try this one.
Yeah. Just going back to Florida for a moment, you wonder when you look at someone like Andrew Gillum, who is such a progressive candidate. And we did the debate with Ron DeSantis and Adam Putnam, as you say, the Florida commissioner. And it was very clear that a lot of the people in Florida and a lot of people in leadership in Florida very much wanted him to be the candidate. But when it is someone like Andrew Gillum, if indeed he ends up pulling this out tonight, it's really close, as we can tell. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. 56% of the vote in, and this is a very tight race at this point. But he's, he may be one of those candidates that has just such unique characteristics that he's pulling in voters who haven't voted in a long time.
Look, I've seen him. I disagree with much of what he says, but I think he's a very attractive guy. I mean, I think he's an appealing guy, and he's disarming in his manner and so forth. And, in a tight situation, that counts for a lot.
All right, many polls are closed, as we mentioned. Ballots still being counted. Plus, will Republicans keep control of the House? That is in question. And it's really going to be decided in probably the next few hours as we count down to the next poll closings. And as we go to break...
Just a second, I'm going to mute these guys. We're going to watch a quick video because it's funny. Well, sorry, guys. This is the governor for running for governor for Georgia. I don't know why the quality's awful.
1, cap government spending.
2,
take a chainsaw to regulations.
3,
make Georgia #1 for small business.
And 2 things if you're gonna date one of my daughters.
Respect.
And
a healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment, sir.
We're gonna get along just fine.
I mean, I kind of love it, but this is his other one.
I'm so conservative. I blow up government spending.
Why is the video awful?
No one's
awful.
Away. My chainsaw's ready to rip up some regulations. I got a big truck, just in case I need to round up criminal illegals and take them home myself. Yep, I just said that. I'm Brian Kemp. If you want a politically incorrect conservative, that's me.
I mean, kind of playing on Trump, but it's cool, right? Like, as long as he wins. Although I don't know that Georgia will have
with solutions to help provide income
Democratic governor. That might be odd.
I'm just surprised it
Yeah.
in my kitchen. Oh.
So
Entertaining, to say the least.
there might be breakfast.
I was really looking forward to breakfast.
But we can
Boya, helping you to
And through
retirement.
At Safe Light Auto Glass, we really pride ourselves on making it easy to get your windshield.
turn in your science papers.
Let's flip over for a second here. I'm gonna throw up some CNN. Oh,
I can't wait to read it.
let me do this.
So when she had auto glass damage,
Sorry, this is a struggle, but I'm out of screens, so this is what we get.
75%, 429,000, 283,000, 25% still out.
That's 13% of the population in Miami-Dade.
That's a lot of votes. And again, in the Senate race, they're Democratic votes. In the governor's race, they're running about the same. Come back to the Senate race, move up here. Only half of the vote. In Broward County, 9.4% of the voters. It could be a higher percentage of the state tonight if turnout is high, but you're looking at least 9%, maybe 10% of the state's vote coming out of here, only 50% in. So again, welcome to Florida politics. If you're Rick Scott, you're happy to be ahead. You've run for governor twice. You've just won barely twice in Republican years. You're Rick Scott. You know these things go late into the night, and you know that this is not your strongest part of the state.
Right.
And there are a lot of votes still out.
It's funny, they're really flipping now, because when I kicked this on originally, they were, oh God, this race is over. It's going to be Democrat. This is a foreshadowing to what's going to happen tonight. Oh, I can't stand CNN sometimes. And it's supposed to be the most moderate.
Right, 51%. You see the math we're talking about here. There are a lot of votes still to be counted here. So we see them come in. And again, if the Republicans, you're happy to be ahead, but you know these are going to stay blue.
Right.
They're going to stay blue, and they're going to stay blue by a significant margin. So you're looking around the map, and you're thinking, you know, where else do Republicans get votes? So number one. Again,
Jacksonville, boo.
Republican territory.
Can you get red for us a little bit?
Democrats winning.
Come on, Jacksonville. Come on, Duval County.
So you start going through the
Do
map,
better.
and again,
Do better, Duval.
Republicans will win out here. 1% of the population.
Yeah.
0.1% of the population. So again, you're happy to be ahead if you're Rick Scott. You're starting to look anywhere else where we can find some votes.
God, that'd be huge if they won that seat.
Huge. The question is, does it stay to that
huge.
There's no guarantee. No guarantee. 60-40 right now. 25% of the votes still to come in. There's no guarantee it'll come in 60-40. It's going to come in Democratic, just by tradition of the state.
Melbster, you just going to jump in here and not say a word, you dick?
You look at that margin.
Come on, Melbster. All right, I've had enough CNN. Sorry, guys. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. Ugh.
4568. That's 800-820-4568.
Oh, Melbster.
Welcome back to America's election.
Ooh, 10 minutes. Ooh, 10 minutes. It's definitely not ours, just so you guys know. No, Shelby. I will not. I like my facial hair. Makes me look very, very Middle Eastern. And people don't screw with Middle Eastern people. That's what I'm going with, anyway.
At the Virginia races, Congressional District 2, Scott Taylor.
Why don't you just grow a fat beard, Shelb? Sorry, Melb.
7, the 7th
Melbster.
District. This is Dave Bratt, the incumbent. Remember, he was the giant killer who in the primary took down the House Majority Leader, Eric Cantor. He is slightly ahead of the Democrat there, Spanberger. But this could be
this is interesting.
We may be ready for a call, and that is Virginia 10. And that is the
I know, right? That's what I was going for. That's what I'm going for.
Up big.
This is bad. Dave Bratt's a good dude.
Republican incumbent
so
Comstock, who is a
really Thomas Massey, and
that kind of shifted, as I mentioned before, to a little bit more bluish purple.
Buck
so she
from
was
Colorado.
An uphill battle. Those early states, the Kentucky 6 is turning around with 84% in. We're watching those. Let's head upstairs to Bill Hemmer with Martha.
I'm drawing a total blank, but yeah, anyway, those three did a pretty cool series together over draining the swamp. Kind of, it's pretty interesting stuff. They talk about like a lot of the how DC works and how corrupt and crooked it is. Not a big shock to anybody, but it's a pretty cool video.
If he keeps it close or even wins, it's really good news for Republicans.
Ken Buck. Wow. I had to stop thinking about it.
First-time candidate.
Sorry.
Right now, with 85% of the vote in.
Oh, man.
Let's see where the rest of the votes come in there.
Make sure y'all are following, subscribing, whatever you're watching it on.
A lot of focus on Virginia And for good reason. Brett,
gotta grow my groupies here. This was a total random last minute thought, so if it's kind of crappy, sorry, but just thought I'd do something different.
However, if we pop down here to the southern part of the state, this is good news for Denver Riggleman right now. He's got about a 7-point advantage right now against the Democratic challenger, and you mentioned Virginia 7 as well. Brett, you said he's the giant killer right now.
Be an interesting one.
About 20% of the vote is still outstanding, but he's hanging on right there.
Dave Brad on
This is great news, guys. This is not good news. This is bad news. We don't want that.
A couple races in Ohio that I find
that'd be a pretty significant shift, really. So we have a decent advantage right now. Yeah.
We're focused on Ohio.
They're really expecting to pick up some House seats.
It's suburban. It goes out to a rural area. It's a developing part of America that seems to be growing.
Shelby, am I just behind you? Is that what you mean?
Troy Balderson by about 6 points.
Or what? Because I'm streaming it, so I'm probably way behind you.
3 months ago,
is why.
When they had that special election, so we got a ways to go. But right
and
now,
you are on 205, not something else.
See what President Trump did 2 years ago in this very district. He won it by 12 points. Now,
Tim Kaine, gross, gross.
Census data will tell you.
I still hate that they can call these with so little information already. Yeah, a minute, that would make sense.
About 70% have a college education or better. And look at the race, 85% white. These are white, suburban Americans, well-educated, who have done very well under this economy over the past 2 years. And right now, they appear to be turning against the Republicans.
I mean, that's exactly the kind of area where you're looking at those white, college-educated women, in many cases, that the president perhaps has felt slipping away a little bit. He's talked a lot in recent advertising and appearances about in the rallies about how much security matters to women in America, trying to sell them on the issue of the wall, trying to sell them.
Nice collection of that good green loot there, Tarv.
And those are exactly the kind of areas that he was working to hold on to.
And a lot of examples all across the country we're going to watch throughout the night, especially the suburbs of Chicago. Take you down to Florida real quick here. Just this is I-4 corridor. We always think about this during national elections, and yet being in a midterm right now, this is Tampa, it's Orlando, it's Daytona Beach. Right now, the Republicans hanging on with a good percentage of vote on there.
Yeah.
Florida 16 down around Sarasota. Again, with 90% of the vote counted, Republicans are hanging on there as well. So you're seeing some bright spots for the GOP. Then you see
Maryland, 5% in the race is called, but I guess that's why. My gosh.
And we're going to be going through this as the night goes on, and we'll see whether or not.
It raises a lot of questions about whether there's a blue wave, red wave, or whether there's not really a wave, whether we see a lot of splits in these areas like Ohio and Florida. And we were just talking about.
I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case, Martha.
The governor's race and the Senate
wouldn't be
race
surprised.
Florida, which leaves you with something.
I honestly had no idea what was going to happen. What was that sound?
And a hanging Chad. Thank you, Martha.
All right, we'll send it back down to you guys.
Remember that. Tallahassee, 40 days and 40 nights. Listen, Florida is really a key battleground, no matter how you look at it. The governor's race in the Sunshine State.
Well, you better watch it, Michelle. I don't know where you are, but I just saw your Facebook post, so hope you're watching it on something.
Gillum headquarters in Tallahassee. Phil, what's the mood down there?
Just say hi. Don't be bashful.
The mood here is jubilant for two reasons. Number one, a deluge, and I mean deluge of rain about 2 hours ago finally passed. There were power outages, there was lightning, there was thunder, and the media
close race.
The press tent to an indoor building there for a time, but everyone's back out. The rain has stopped.
It's crazy. They're already 93% in, guys. That's crazy.
Down here below in front of the stage.
Quick. Quick.
They're all enthusiastic. They're hoping this watch party turns into a historic celebratory party for the Democratic Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum. No
Tarv, what do you think the chances are this gets shut down?
And if he does win, he'll become the first black governor ever.
Since I'm live streaming it, or do you think since I have overlays, they'll be like, oh, it's custom content. We'll leave them alone.
Absolute Trump supporter through and through, supports every policy of the president, and was endorsed by the president.
Oh, while we're doing this, I gotta play a sweet video.
on stage with the president 3 times at big rallies, with the president trying to use his popularity amongst the Florida Republican base to really push DeSantis ahead in this race.
It depends what you're watching on, Michelle. Sorry, I shouldn't use your name, but oh well.
The last 2 gubernatorial races,
okay, I was going to open
the
this.
last 2 presidential races in the state of Florida have been decided by just 1 point, 1 percentage point. This is a big swing state. It's a toss-up.
I want to find the Jared Polis.
Very evenly divided, and the statewide races tend to prove just that much as well. So, still early in the race, but we are getting reports.
The Twitch link took you to Facebook?
Broward, Palm Beach counties, huge Democratic
That's weird.
With big percentages of people, and they're showing that there have been waits.
I'm gonna have to try that out, see what's going on there.
Okay, Phil, thanks. Tell them to change the channel down there. We've got a couple calls to make. On the House side, the Associated Press
worked for me. I don't know.
Florida 27 for Donna Shalala. You may remember
I don't know.
Former Health and Human Services Secretary for President Clinton, former University of Miami president. This was a tight race against Maria Salazar.
Anybody else having that? Because
Shalala,
I did not see it. Shelby, Melbster, what did you use?
This is a gain for the House Democrats.
Okay.
And now you have +2 for the Democrats as they need
Oh,
to get
no.
+23. Also, Florida.
They're +2, guys. Bad.
For the Associated Press calling for Mike Waltz, former Special Forces commander. He's a Republican, defeating Nancy Soderberg, the Democrat. The Democrats spent a lot of money on that race. Mike Waltz pulling that out in Florida 6.
Yeah, he was in a tight race. I mean, they had a.
All right, we're gonna do this real quick because it's funny.
Colorado needs
This is the worst.
ready to step up
This
to
just.
the plate.
This is why I
I'm
do
Jared
not
Polis,
like Jared
and I
Polis.
don't take special interest money. I took on Trump and won.
Look at
to
that.
protect
That's such a
our
girly
healthcare. Now I'm battling
swing.
drug companies to cut
Like trying
the
to
cost of
act all
prescription
like
drugs.
I'm an athlete.
And I'm hitting back on polluters to protect our health. The special interests, they throw a lot
So
of
they
curves.
played this a bunch during the Rockies games this year.
Being governor is
Hilarious.
about keeping your eye on the ball.
It's just the worst. I don't know. Maybe I'm being overcritical, but I thought it was pretty awful commercial. Florida's usually purple. It's kind of like us. Can go one way or the other. It's hard to ever predict what's happening there. Oh, Melbster left.
Wherever here might be.
So, did you just open this up in the Twitch app, or how did you finally get it to work? Because like I'm clicking on it and it's taking me right to the right links.
Are 2 different things.
So I'm not sure why.
Divided. Yet from
What's happening there?
We see no such thing. We see 500,000
Not sure why.
today alone.
Oh, I gotta quit opening these. They're not muted. Whoops.
Very divided states. Red states, blue states, and every shade of
Oh,
purple.
I don't know what I just did over there.
We see people
Whoopsie daisy.
party lines, state lines, yes, even airlines, all looking for that uncommon common ground. A nice reminder that if you really want to see what this country is made of, maybe it's best to go see it for yourself.
15 Democrats leading in Republican districts. Democrats must pick up 21 seats. Thought it was 23. Oh, you guys can't ever get on the same page on anything. Ugh. Figure it out.
1-800-SERVPRO and ServPro.com.
Figure it out.
A moment of joy. A source of inspiration. An act of kindness. An old friend. A new beginning. Some welcome relief. Or a cause for celebration.
Oh, one of those deals. Gotcha.
What's inside?
So you ought to open up like YouTube on your TV through the Xbox, and you can watch it on that too.
IHOP has all new Grinch pancakes, mint hot chocolate, and kids eat free from 4 to 10 p.m. Right, Mr. Grinch? Get IHOP's new Grinch pancakes and see the Grinch in theaters.
Oh, Tarv, do you think I can hook my
Did you know not all fiber is the same?
other computer up to my mixer? So I think my audio is coming off the computer.
Without causing excess gas or
I wonder if that'll work.
relieve occasional constipation with citrus.
All right, I'm gonna try something here.
It is now 8:30 on the East Coast, 7:30 in Arkansas, where polls have just closed, and Fox News can project that incumbent Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson will defeat his Democratic challenger, Jared Henderson. We're also making a call in that Virginia race. Barbara Comstock, the incumbent, will go down to Democrat challenger Jennifer Wexton. This is a gain for the Democrats, so now they are up to +3, I believe, is what they need, 23 net gain to take over control of the House of Representatives.
So let's take a look at the balance of power. As we said, a lot of white cubes still up there as we go through the 435 races that we are watching tonight. A handful of those are toss-up races. As you can see, 2 pickups right now for the Democrats. They need to have 3
with Virginia 10.
3 with Virginia, which has just come in. 3 pickups.
Oh, your internet can handle that.
Republicans stat at the moment.
All right, we're going to do this.
Whip, Louisiana Republican Congressman Steve Scalise. Congressman, thanks for being here. Your thoughts early in the night and whether you can retain control.
Well, we know what's at stake. It's been a battle from the very beginning. I've been in touch with a lot of our members in vulnerable districts, and they're seeing very high turnout in our side. Surely on the Democrat side, we always knew they were going to have high turnout, but to see our side showing up in large numbers too, that tells you that we're battling. And I think in a lot of these swing districts that Pelosi would need to get the majority, we're going to be able to hold on to them. So we've always said it's going to be a late night, a lot of close races. But again, we know where the battlegrounds are, and so far no surprises.
Steve, Martha McCallum here. You know, when you take a look at some of the fundamentals of what voters are talking about, they seem to be very interested in health care, interested in the economy and immigration, but their numbers are a little bit lower for the president on the issue of immigration, on the issue of health care, and they're very positive on the president when it comes to the economy. How do you see this playing out for you in these House races?
The economy has still been the top issue, and obviously there are other problems with health care. We've seen under Obamacare, you're still seeing double-digit increases in many states in premiums because Obamacare is just not working, and we need to keep working on an answer to Obamacare. It's just a failed law, and there's a much better way to lower premiums and protect people with pre-existing conditions. We've been for that every step of the way. On the economy, look, you can't go anywhere without hearing people say how great the economy is going. Families talking about how they have more wages, more money in their paycheck. And Pelosi wants to reverse the tax cuts, so clearly that's been a big issue and a big talking point in terms of people that are concerned about Nancy Pelosi becoming Speaker again.
Andy Barr pull it out in Kentucky 6?
I was just with Andy Friday, and he's been battling. I think he's got a real good chance of winning because he's much more in tune with that district.
I don't know what just happened, but apparently
Amy McGrath says she wants to be the most progressive person in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky is not a far-left Pelosi-type state.
He put Twitch on.
Andy pulls it out in Lexington.
50.3% to 48.5, 88% in. Congressman.
I don't know what I just did, but apparently I screwed something up because now I'm a lot louder.
More to immigration, or did you believe that the closing argument should have been more economy?
Well, the economy's been a selling.
That sounds better. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to get audio
caravan coming in, and
but oh well. You guys are watching it on.
Where they stand on a lot of the complex.
Why aren't you watching it on YouTube? YouTube would be way easier.
I want to see us build the wall. I want border security. But the idea that with millions of people waiting in line to come to this country legally, you have thousands of people just saying we're going to ignore all of those laws and storm right in front of all those other people that are waiting in line to come here. That's not the way to come to America. We're a very generous nation on immigration, and we need strong border security, just like every other country secures their border. So, national security became an important issue. But in the end, the economy still has been something that everybody talks about when there are more job openings than there are people looking for work.
What about the tax reform bill and how it was sold to the American public? Because it feels like a lot of people feel that it didn't work for them, even though the economy seems to have been stimulated by it in so many ways. Has that message been presented in a powerful enough way, and is that reflected at all in what we're seeing tonight?
Well, you know, in most places I went, people actually liked the idea that they had more money in their pockets, and they recognized it. I mean, the bonuses and pay raises that companies, large and small, were giving to their employees are resulting in higher wages.
Oh, Steve.
And, you just saw the numbers. I mean, numbers keep coming out that wages are going up because of the tax cut bill. And Pelosi said she wants to take it away. She called it crumbs. And then she
You know how to watch Twitch on YouTube? It doesn't make sense.
People are going to want to let that
They're two
go.
totally different apps.
Keep building on the economic success that we're
Like,
having.
you literally can go to YouTube and search my name, and you can watch it live on YouTube. That's what I was saying.
Turns out tonight we're watching every race.
Thank you, Congressman.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, let's go back, if we can, to that Florida governor's race and put up the screen. This obviously is.
Did I see a sweet follow in there?
The Tallahassee mayor against Ron DeSantis, congressman, and now.
Not sure which errands that is, but thanks for the follow. That's 86. That's got to be Derek, right? It's got to be you, Derek. Thanks for the follow, buddy.
So we have Ron DeSantis with 50 straight up, and Andrew Gillum at 48.8. Britt, what are you looking at there?
Well.
Did it notify when you did that? Because I did not hear it. If it did.
93%.
That's probably 93% of precincts. Right?
Yeah, so Broward County is in, we're told. Right. So 93%.
That looks a lot better for DeSantis than it did a little while ago.
The Panhandle is a late
late
return.
Late return, right.
So it should be coming in.
Panhandle will almost certainly help DeSantis.
Hey, Derek, you should probably go follow the Tarvish as well.
Trump, I would think.
Oh, is that when it happened? Okay, that might be why. I did take my headphones off, so that would make sense.
If he lost, that would be bad. Now, if he wins, maybe we'll consider Trump even more of a genius than I know you already do, Chris.
93% is expected vote percentage, not the precincts in, but a
wrong
lot
screen.
of areas have.
I have way too many computers open right now.
Other panel right here, Laura, Juan, Dana, and Guy.
Let's see here.
Well, I have to say, if DeSantis, who is a Trump guy, if he manages to pull out this victory with what was thrown at him in the last just 2 weeks, millions of dollars from Act Blue, the big Democrat turnout machine, which has done a great job of registering people.
I'm going to put a link up here to follow.
They threw in millions. Steyer threw in millions. Other groups threw in millions. This was the most expensive governor's race in the country.
This dude is the man.
If he squeaks out a victory here,
and he's way more serious about this than I am.
Won this for him.
I don't know if you remember him or not.
I think he could have run a better campaign. And you know, I always take it from my radio audience. I mean, he was an okay guest, but I think he could have taken it up a notch. Gillum is charismatic. He's a storyteller, getting back to stories.
I don't understand what you're saying.
About him. But maybe it was a bridge too far.
I'm confused.
For Floridians in the end. Again, this is a slight victory, though. This is, and it's he wins, he wins. If he wins, if he wins, it will be a small margin. But nevertheless, a win is a win, and you got to say Donald Trump had to have put him over the edge.
You know, Juan, I just have one thing that after the Hurricane Michael, there was a lot of talk about whether that would affect the turnout.
Been distracted for a second. Sorry, guys.
Hurricane Maria, there was a lot of talk about Puerto Ricans coming from Puerto Rico to Florida. 280,000.
Oh, whoa.
And they registered to vote right away. They're obviously American citizens.
I hope that flips.
Just looking at the data from Florida, that was not a huge factor when it came to Republican Democrat.
That's not a shock.
Puerto Rican, because of how
gross, but it's not a shock.
Would possibly vote Democrat. But
oh, sweet Radiant Flux. Go with the Radiant Flux, Tarv.
Well, we don't know for sure.
Oh, lucky pants. Ooh, okay. All right.
Especially area around Orlando. You saw
this is a tight race. This is big.
Puerto Rican population after the big storm.
I think it's one of those things, too, that if he wins, you're probably going to see Rick Scott take over
about whether or not that would
the other Florida Senate seat, which is big.
I would also say it was compounded by the second hurricane that hit the Panhandle hard, and the question was whether or not that would interfere with people getting out to vote. But what we've seen, and repeatedly, visits by President Trump to stir his base in Florida, to make this a race about Donald Trump. DeSantis is basically a stand-in for Donald Trump in this race. The only question that I think people have here is twofold. One is whether the Latino vote, and oftentimes the Cuban vote goes Republican. The question is, what about the rest of them, and especially participation? Did they turn out, or did they simply?
It's getting, wow, 93% though. It's getting close.
Of course, you have a black
we got 18 minutes here. 18 minutes.
People said they would vote for him, but actually didn't.
Sorry, was that really loud?
Was a big
My
issue
bad.
in this race that we watched between Gillum and DeSantis.
Can you hear my miners running? Can you guys hear these running in the background?
Monkey up this economy.
You know, loud.
And you and I had a big conversation about that that night. You know, a lot of people saw it as an innocent comment. He's sort of mixing.
Oh, and Mr. Aaron's,
monkey with it or whatever.
thank you for the fiber so I can do all this shenanigans. Wouldn't be doing that without it.
Really tried to hit
not even
He
close.
said, in fact, he said, it's not that I'm calling him racist, it's that racists think he's racist. But what you saw even in the closing days of this race was that you had people using racially charged language. And the question is, how does race impact this contest? Because all the numbers had seemed to indicate
I figured that's what you meant. Thanks.
was in the lead. And yet
That's actually pretty quick. I thought I'd be further behind than that.
They're getting
Thanks.
ready, we're told, for possible recounts down there. 86,000.
Ooh, we're going to recount in Florida?
In Florida? A recount?
Imagine that.
That's...
Hanging chads, here we come.
Betting odds
Right.
dramatically for DeSantis in just
Very nice.
betting odds now have it almost 2-1.
So that Tarvis is Travis Halcombe, if you didn't know that, but we give him such a hard time because like all of us play together and he is the only one of us not on fiber and he struggles sometimes.
On my sleeve.
It's funny.
Suspenders, right?
There you go. Oh, we've got to take a break.
Sunglasses.
All right. Countdown.
And what's crazy is I'm running like, I think like 26 devices off my router and it handles it all. That's good.
Seem to think it cuts both ways. Maria Bartiromo joins us on that coming up next.
If we're going to steal Christmas, we're going to need the element of surprise. Go team.
Oh, sweet Christmas. Ugh. Too soon. It's way too soon. CNN's on commercials too. Sorry, guys.
Hi, Susan. Honey.
Yeah?
I respect that, but that cough looks pretty bad.
The heck is this thing?
Robitussin honey.
The real honey
Oh.
you love, plus the powerful cough relief you need.
Mind if I root through your trash?
New Robitussin honey, because it's never just a cough.
At Athene, we think it's time for the financial world to stop acting the same old way. You need a partner that is willing to break free from conventional thinking. We are a different kind of financial company. We are Athene, and we are.
Oh, man.
Endless Shrimp is on at Red Lobster. For just $15.99, you get all the shrimp you want, any way you want them. And now, savory Parmesan shrimp scampi is back. New sesame ginger shrimp is
I'm
here
starting to
too.
think we're really just not going to see a whole lot of change. Maybe a few seats here and there, but not a lot. 'Cause this bishop from Michigan, he was supposed to. They stopped spending money in his district. Him and Kaufman both had fundings pulled from him because it was supposedly
Taking your money and throwing it right into the heart.
out of winnable status, I guess.
With new car replacement, if your brand new car gets totaled, Liberty Mutual will pay the entire value plus depreciation. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
911 emergency.
My husband, he's having trouble breathing.
First responders hear it a lot. And everyone age 65 and older needs to hear it too. The flu and its complications can be deadly, especially for those with a chronic
I'm still surprised Bernie Sanders
That's why there are
is.
higher strength flu vaccines for seniors.
Never mind. I'll stop before I say something I regret.
Senior flu shot. Do it today.
This one's a big one. West Virginia Mansion. Mansion was one of the, that was a Trump district, so they're anxious to see what happens there.
But do you take something for your brain? With an ingredient originally discovered.
He did end up voting for Kavanaugh, though, so they think he probably saved himself by doing that.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Amazing how politics works. Amazing.
Life doesn't give you many second chances. But a Subaru can.
You guys okay? You alright?
What's up, YouTubers?
Standard on the Subaru Ascent. Presenting the all-new 3-door
Make sure you guys
Subaru
subscribe
Ascent. Love is now bigger than ever.
so you can watch the real content of when I get real ambitious playing Fortnite or whatever. This is kind of for fun, like say last minute, but just kind of wanted to commentate on it while it was going on, you know? This is a really, really odd year. Nobody really knows what's going to happen this year, including myself. So,
here's what it's telling us about the top issues with voters. Check out this map. The darkest purple identifies states.
Oh, did you guys just catch that?
Voters say the top issue facing the country is the economy and jobs. Wyoming has the most choosing the economy at 29%. Minnesota has the fewest, saying the economy is the most important issue overall. 19% say that the economy is the top issue facing the country. Joining us now is Maria Bartiromo, anchor of Mornings with Maria on Fox Business Network and Sunday Morning Features here on the Fox News Channel. Maria, it's really interesting to discuss this whole issue of how much the economy and the growth that we've seen is compelling voters one way or the other tonight.
I think you're right, and I think that is what is.
Ew, Elizabeth Warren's winning.
Over the last 6 weeks, 3 months about healthcare versus the economy. At the end of the
crazy
day,
thing to remember though is like some of these districts are so right or left leaning that they can get radicals in there and do it. That's one of the big things this year, like with Y and Z in Colorado, is trying to fix some of that gerrymandering and stuff because it's very prominent in a lot of these districts. So hopefully that'll help us out a bunch, not hurt us, because obviously our districts are going to move towards the east, and hopefully it doesn't screw us over.
When you look at what could happen if the Dems take control of Congress and Maxine Waters running financial services, Gerald Nadler running judiciary, you see a push away from that, away from rolling back regulations and perhaps putting more of the clamps on business, and that would certainly reverse what we've seen in the last 2 years.
I want to interrupt you for a second. Associated Press calling Kentucky 6 for incumbent Andy Barr. So he will become a fourth-term incumbent. We are putting the check mark next to Andy Barr. That is a huge, huge development in the early races. Again, as we were talking early on, this was a bellwether, and Amy McGrath ran a great race, but she will go down to Andy Barr, who pulls this out in Kentucky, which is a huge deal. And I want to update the other toss-up states that we're looking at with Claire McCaskill in Missouri. That's early. We are looking, though, very closely at Indiana, 49% in. And you see Mike Braun starting to separate there.
That's huge, you guys. Huge.
To Joe Donnelly's 42%. We're saying it's too close to call.
Donnelly was one of the ones that voted against Kavanaugh. He's been pretty much against the whole Trump agenda the whole time.
He's a businessman.
And it's very interesting because that was a district that Trump took, or a state Trump ended up taking, so that's big.
Right. And that
Ooh, this is bad. That's gone up 5%.
As well as the fact that there's smaller government and lower taxes. Look,
not great, Rick Bite. Not great.
Businesses were sitting on their cash.
Senate looks like we may hold on, maybe even gain a few seats, which
higher fees, higher needs.
I'm not really sure if that's going to have a huge effect if you lose the House, but
has changed in the last 2 years. That's why you're seeing
at least losing the House. Man, I have a hard time believing that because we had a pretty significant advantage. But
in terms of where the business
we'll see.
Community stands.
Colorado should be closing in 10 minutes. We'll know more about Colorado quickly. I'll start pulling up and
now you've seen
doing some research on that, see what I can find.
Stance on tariffs. We'll see how that plays out in Kentucky.
Pretty soon. We got about 10 minutes.
On economic policies that they want to see continue.
We know that Braun has really been driving up the rural vote in Indiana, and they're still waiting for some of the Indianapolis vote to come in, which obviously would be a better area for Joe Donnelly. But we watch these candidates who have been paying attention to the areas that the president paid attention to in Pennsylvania, in Indiana, in Wisconsin, some of which we're obviously still waiting to come in for. But he paid attention to them, and these candidates are also driving up the vote in those areas.
Absolutely. And President Trump going out 3 rallies yesterday, 2 the day before, 2 the day before that. He is working hard because he knows what's at stake for his own administration, his own, in the next 2 years. You're either going to see a further of his economic policies or investigation after investigation after investigation.
Maria, thank you. I remember 2 years ago, you were at that desk over there. It was 3 in the morning. President Trump had been declared the president, and the market.
Colorado, 3,848,049 voters in the state of Colorado.
If people listen to you, they could be a lot.
Last I saw, we were reporting like
Just the economic policies that was driving my thinking that night. And when you talk about rolling back regulations,
400,000 or 500,000 had already turned in.
Business, that will encourage business.
It's pretty significant.
That's why I said to you, I guess the next morning, you got to buy this with both hands.
Yeah, but Paul Krugman said the market was going to completely collapse, fall apart, and cease to exist.
And I said not.
No.
Thank you.
You were right, as usual, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stick around.
Right. You know, Chris Stirewalt is our Fox News politics editor. We've gathered him out of the decision desk area and pulled him out. Chris, we want to talk Florida.
Okay.
We want to talk Florida first, and that is the governor's race down there that has Ron DeSantis up. It looks like Scott is performing better, too, than even President Trump did in Miami-Dade County.
Well, there is that, and he ought to be expected to, just based on...
He was a long-term governor there. Come on.
The way that the midterm...
God, some of these questions make me angry.
Still a lot of football to be played down there. We're watching it very closely. We're babysitting. It's obviously one of the most important discussions.
You guys want to hear how the liberals are going? Let's flip it over.
These are both very close races.
Oh, I got to do this first. Sorry.
Where Democrats felt...
There we go.
A tough challenge from Republican Congressman Kevin Cramer. We're about to get the first results in a key governor's race. In Wisconsin, Democrat Tony Evers is taking on incumbent Republican Governor Scott Walker, who is seeking his third term. Walker is a top target for Democrats. And Wolf, we're just minutes away from the second biggest round of poll closings tonight. Wolf?
We're about to get a whole
Ooh, Colorado.
Let's take a look at Florida. Right now, it's a key race. 96% of
these guys are pretty much already saying that
96% of the
it's over, but they're a little wrong because it's CNN, and I mean that's they're basically basing this all on 3 districts right here, Miami.
87% Miami-Dade County.
Oh, these are Bill Nelson districts, but Rick Scott's a 2-term governor. I mean,
the Republican almost 300,000. So there are
I feel pretty confident he's going to do all right, which that would be a Senate seat pickup. Duton, what's up? What's up, Duton? Thanks, Tarv. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
The question is, with the 30% left, again, that's 200,000 votes.
The governor's race will be interesting, but
70% in, is there in that 30% left enough? Do the quick math.
Oh, do you guys remember when I turned you on like an hour ago and you were like, "Oh yeah, that's gonna go blue"? God, you guys are dumb. Shouldn't comment if you don't know. Ugh.
Suburbs where we can pick up votes. You're at 90.
Shut up. I'm done. Let's go back to here.
To find out how well Joe Donnelly does in the place.
This is big.
Needs to do
Let's go, Mike Braun.
Lake County, the
take a seat.
Or the northwestern part of the state matters a great deal for Democrats. That is going to
get us a seat.
That is going to be a pivotal question, and either Joe Donnelly is about to get a lot better off or a lot worse off, and we're going to know a great deal in the minutes and probably.
It is crazy to me though that we pick up Senate seats and we're losing House seats. I still am putting that back on. It's got to be something to do with Paul Ryan and just poor leadership out of the Speaker of the House. Like, I know they pulled Mike Kaufman's funding really early, and one of the guys in Michigan, I forgot his name already. We were talking about him earlier, and they pulled the money from those two just because the races were too tight or whatever. It makes you wonder. That's just damn. Here's another important thing, Colorado.
Remember that race? Can't wait to see that.
The
coverage continues as America.
I don't know what the actual title is off the top of my head, but the Senate Majority Leader, I guess you would say, Senate Majority election leader is Cory Gardner out of Colorado. So it's kind of a nice compliment to him if we do pick up a bunch of seats.
I just prayed, but I also want a shot of whiskey.
Oh, what's this? Real country? Is that Shania?
Real country star. God gave me this voice.
Is that Shania Twain? Oh. Sorry, I'm having a moment.
Real country. Check your local listings.
Shania's gonna be my wife someday. Just so you guys all know. She's pretty awesome.
Hair removal for men. Notice that my hips are off the ground.
So we lost this seat. That's bad too. Virginia. Virginia's going left. Why is that too much information? She's beautiful.
A bad day on the road still.
I hope you're still not watching this with our parents. Ugh.
Progressive helps keep you out there.
I wanted more
That makes things weird. Nah, that's all right.
The power of 1, 2, 3 medicines with Trelegy, the only FDA-approved 3-in-1 COPD treatment. Trelegy, the power of 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, awkward.
With Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3.
Nah, it's not. I don't care.
Trelegy works 3 ways to open airways, keep them open, and reduce.
Why am I lucky
24 hours of better
that she's gonna be my wife? Yeah.
Rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Trelegy is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
2 minutes. Colorado's going to be rolling in.
Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy and the power.
All the early voting should be up pretty quick, so it should give us a general idea. Colorado's pretty even, I think, on early voters and stuff. So maybe.
Turn in your science papers.
This teacher always puts her students first.
I did mine a little. You did? Oh, I can't wait to read it.
So when she had auto glass damage, she chose SafeLight. With SafeLight, she could see exactly when we'd be there.
You must be Pascal.
Yes, ma'am. Saving her time. So she can save the science.
So are you guys watching this on Twitch or are you watching it on YouTube?
So Lionel, what does being able to trade?
I'm not sure I'm following what you were saying about that earlier.
It's true.
So all evening long.
Ooh, so close. Yes, but also all
night through its entirety. Come on, all the time from sunset to sunrise.
Right, but you could trade
from darkness to light.
Bishop, that's the one. That was the one they said they pulled money from. Paul Ryan. Oh, 1 minute.
There we are, zooming in, awaiting poll closings at 9 p.m. and possible race calls. Actually, race calls coming. And there goes our chandelier.
Oh, you're just typing in Twitch on your phone. Got it.
Yeah.
In this studio.
That makes sense.
One of the big questions that's materializing here tonight is whether or not, there might be a pretty big red brick wall happening in a number of places in terms of what we've seen in Virginia. Riggleman, Barr, some of these.
More like race wars.
Whether the blue wave will materialize as we continue to move through
I don't get it.
I mean, that is the question. But some of the early things that we went in here with in terms of anticipation and early.
Don't get it, Tarv. You have to explain. I'm simple. Simple.
Big win there. And now we're looking really heavily at Florida, Indiana. It has moved towards the Republicans.
All right, hit refresh. See what Colorado is throwing out.
Starting to get raw vote totals in Missouri and other places.
And the website's down.
That is happening.
Oh, no, there it went.
9 o'clock. And now.
There we go.
Last updated 5/11.
Closed in 14 more states, including Arizona, Texas, and North Dakota. Each of those will have a major impact on whether Republicans retain control of the U.S.
It will not come as a surprise to you that Arizona is too early to say whether Republican Congresswoman Martha McSally.
I'm just keep hitting refresh until I hear more.
Kirsten Sinema,
see more.
Retiring GOP Senator Jeff Flake.
Also too early to project a winner in Texas. This race obviously getting a lot of attention. Democratic Congressman Beto O'Rourke.
Interesting. Something happened there.
Republican Senator Ted Cruz in what has become the most expensive Senate race in U.S. history. At the moment, Cruz has a very slight lead.
O'Rourke has a very slight lead, it looks like.
Oh, I think this is using voter analysis and raw vote total.
Putting it all together. It's pretty close, anyway, in Texas at this point. And in North
Dakota, oh my gosh, that'd be horrible.
To project
horrible if that dude won.
With the incumbent Democratic Senator
self-declared racist.
Republican challenger, Congressman Kevin Kramer. As of the poll,
not racist,
is in the lead right now. Pretty sizable lead, but we've only got 4% of the vote in right there.
I don't know. Whatever those people are called.
Watching at this hour in Wisconsin, incumbent Republican Governor.
Oh, but then it'd do this, Tarv. I can put it up there, but
Tony Evers, the state's education superintendent.
it's not showing anything. I was waiting for info to pop up on it.
New York for a moment. Governor Andrew Cuomo, who defeated Sex and the City.
Oh, see, that's it.
7 weeks
This is
ago
why I wanted a window so I could throw that on there. You know what I mean? Show it and unshow it if I wanted to.
Republican Mark Molinaro.
But
also in New York, Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand will win re-election to a second full term by defeating Republican Shelley Farley. She's been talked about as a possible presidential candidate, by the way.
And in one of the 2 Senate races in Minnesota today, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar will win a third term by beating GOP state lawmaker Jim Newberger. She's also discussed as a possible 2020 Democrat candidate.
In the other Minnesota Senate race, Democratic Senator Tina Smith will win election to fill the remainder of Senator Al Franken's term until January 2021. She defeated the state senator.
Michigan did not get a governor.
And let's Republican look at Wisconsin, where Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin will win a second term. She has defeated GOP state senator Leah Vukmir.
Keep in mind that as of 9 p.m. Eastern Time, polls have closed in fully 80% of congressional districts across the country, including most of the tightest toss-up races that will determine control of the U.S. House of Representatives. So if Democrats, remember, pick up a net gain of 23 seats, they will take control of the chamber for the first time since 2011. We are not yet at the place where we can call or make a projection. There's a lot of white on that board, as you see.
This is developing into a very interesting evening.
Here we go.
Let's go over to the panel and get your thoughts on what we're seeing so far. Guy Benson joining us. Guy, what do you think?
Here's your Colorado screen, Tarv.
Big picture, it's looking like a pretty good night for the Democrats, but not quite the great night that some of them had been hoping for.
Whoa.
Kentucky 6 being one of those bellwether.
This has to be early.
Republican to hang on there in Trump country.
These are huge. Kentucky, that's a huge Democrat district right there.
Also, it's not quite over yet in some of these other
races. This one, obviously, we're not going to be in yet. Why would we be?
Outer limits of a big wave the Democrats.
This is the big contestant one.
2010 style wave.
Perlmutter, he'll walk away. He'll win pretty handily.
Still too close for us to call, but that's looking
pretty
darn good for the Republicans.
See what early voting says here.
To put a pickup on the side that early would be enormous for the GOP's to that upper chamber, which has been
this is early voting, so
many judges, including
it's interesting.
2 Supreme Court justices during the Trump administration.
What porn tab?
A very important priority for many conservatives.
What are you talking about?
We have a major race call to make right now. First, in
you stop that.
Decision desk can now project.
You stop that, Tarv.
Menendez will win re-election by defeating Republican businessman Bob Hugan.
Oh man! So wow. Ooh, this is real spooky. Hopefully this changes. You did make me look though, because I was like, wait, what?
Toss-up by Cook Political Report. He is going to go on and win.
And we have another major race call to make tonight in the Tennessee
Senate race. So they definitely, Dems got out in the...
now project that Republican Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn will defeat former Democratic Governor Phil Bredesen to replace retiring GOP Senator Bob Corker. Although Blackburn
Marsha Blackburn's going to win. Cool. They're not taking that one.
She closed the gap. She was a tireless campaigner in this race and took the lead about a month ago. Britt, your thoughts?
Refresh.
Having a lot to do with Kavanaugh, because Bredesen did come out finally and say that he would have voted for Kavanaugh, and he's been critical of his party ever since. But that was a big deal in the state of Tennessee. And
I really, on this one, I won't be surprised if this governor's race isn't.
Where the Kavanaugh vote made a real difference.
Yeah, Dana,
58,
this race was really
42 by the end of it. Like, it's not going to be very close, I don't think, unfortunately.
The thing is, I was just thinking about this. You just called, Menendez.
I think this one might flip. Maybe. They're up quite a bit on early votes, though, so maybe.
Vote for Menendez. I mean, that's how.
It'd be really interesting if we lose all these.
He wins it.
And
you think about a state like Florida that we talk a lot about. It's a swing state.
That's not a shock.
Talk a lot about it. But states like New
Jersey, let's check this.
Kentucky, Tennessee, and probably Texas, they tend to be in their
there it is.
State. And so
now they're all in.
A terrible surprise in New Jersey. And Marsha Blackburn, I believe that. Well, I think she was the first woman congresswoman.
This is good. Didn't really have much fear there, but it's good. Again, this is the one we want to find out on. Let's see.
Some of these Midwestern states, Southwestern states, they're going to have a lot of soul searching to do because their expectations.
Ooh, questions. Let's check Prop 112, huh? We need to see that.
They're never going to be able to meet those expectations.
It's interesting too. Phil Bredesen
transportation districts. I don't care.
The national Democratic brand failed him. Right.
All right. So
fit the mold. And he,
I don't remember what V was.
Trying to sound as Trump-like as he possibly could. Also, just as a side note, they thought it was a big deal when Taylor Swift came out and supported Phil Bredesen.
Y and Z look like they're probably going to pass.
Not be a positive ultimately for Bredesen. So a tough night for Taylor Swift.
Threes no. 74 looks like a no.
Lining up, I think, exactly like our voter analysis.
Oh wow!
Early.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looks like the state may say no to both, possibly.
Skewing more
good
than the original view of some of those numbers.
It's a little closer than I thought it'd be. I think I told Pops today I thought it'd be about 70-30, but I really don't think that's going to pass.
Staying home, I mean,
so
voting for Republicans.
That's
I think there was a
good.
lot of hope on the Democratic side that especially Republican women, they may not come out and vote for a Democrat, but maybe they just will sit this one out. I think it looks like many of them may have stayed home with their party. But what's interesting, I think, also some of the early races were getting called. Donna Shalala
check these.
That's a surprise.
Check my district. Scroll all the way down to the bottom.
So one thing I think Democrats are looking at across the country is we thought that the Andy Barr
Something tells me we probably don't have
one
anything
to
in
watch
yet.
for
Yeah, we
Bellwether,
don't.
And that's now been called for Republicans. But if we're
Well, that's
picking
cool.
up seats, places we didn't think were bellwethers,
Thea Chase, isn't that a professor from Mesa State?
There are I mentioned this earlier. There are a number of places.
Tarv, it's not over yet, man. I still bet it's pretty dominant.
The Democrats
Lead down, they voted.
Fielding folks.
Rick Bite, are you still watching? You still around there, Rick Bite?
What's interesting is Ohio.
Thea Chase, isn't that a professor? Wasn't she a professor at CMU?
Almost as much as he won Texas by. Sherrod Brown basically didn't have a contest tonight.
Sure.
Already been called for him in the Senate.
Well, that was long predicted going in.
It was, but the fact that the Trump coalition there couldn't show up to vote for a Republican Senate candidate, I think is interesting. It may impact the governor's
still not up.
Laura, let's go back to Florida. I think that these races really
county's reporting 10%. That's obviously not accurate. I think Tipton's going to blow away, and I surely hope so. Ken Buck will. He's in a very staunch. Ooh, whoa. Whoa.
But this was a state where, let's say, Rick Scott was a very
This is a Colorado Springs district.
The state is extremely well run. It was
That's
really margin for Donald
that's a big
Trump.
deal.
Remember, I think he won it about
Wow.
100,000 or so votes.
I'm just going to interrupt you.
Wow.
I'm going to call Joe Manchin winning West Virginia Senate over Patrick Morrissey. There was some thought
Close,
that
but
Patrick Morrissey could close the gap here, but Joe Manchin,
Joe Manchin is really glad he voted for Brett Kavanaugh right now, I'll tell you that.
is going to return to the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, the Kavanaugh vote, I think, without a doubt, helped him there. But in Florida, again, the president has made so many trips there. I think, obviously, the Southern White House and Mar-a-Lago, but campaign trips there. I think that was critical. But do not discount the power of Rick
I'll be right
Scott,
back.
who his response to hurricanes,
on a cable,
his response to just the general governance of that state, that in and of itself was competence. Competence was on the ballot versus maybe for Nelson, someone who had longevity and seniority. Nelson's not someone who keeps connected to the voters. Gillum is a charismatic guy, but he's far left for the state of Florida. Tallahassee is not the rest of Florida. If Ron DeSantis pulls out a victory, I keep saying this is all Donald Trump's victory tonight.
There are some people who have called the race for DeSantis. We haven't yet, and our not doing so is prudent as always. We've had a very good track record, but it's worth noting that some election experts have called the race for DeSantis to win.
One of the other interesting things when we look at some of the victors tonight in the Senate races on the Democratic side, you can begin to see this Democratic field for president shaping up. Elizabeth Warren won re-election. Bernie Sanders won re-election. Kirsten Gillibrand won re-election. So did Amy Klobuchar. Those are four people that are being mentioned potentially as Democratic presidential candidates. And they all won tonight.
And Chris, if Beto O'Rourke wins in Texas, he's the instant front runner, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Some people would say even if he loses, he can go and start running for president.
All for naught. Take his $70 million right to Des Moines. 3% in Texas. There you see the early vote. In Texas, you want to see the raw vote total. We have it that using the voter analysis plus the raw total, Ted Cruz with a slight lead, even though that's not what it shows on the screen. But it's tighter than a lot of people thought it was going to be.
I'm back.
In Texas.
Crisis averted.
Can I just go back to one thing Dana said?
Crisis averted.
In love with the idea
all right, let's go back and check 112.
That they haven't won in for a long time. I think
I'm pretty convinced.
This dream in New Jersey with Bob Hugin against Bob Menendez, who obviously had huge ethical problems. And so there was a reason to believe it. But it's a really blue state. And the idea that you were
guys, this is this. You know what this all means?
It was about as unlikely.
If this all stays the course, Colorado is officially California.
Trump won Tennessee in 2016.
Rock
26 points. So this was, in fact, Phil Bredesen was probably the only Democrat who's had a chance of winning in Tennessee. And as it turns out, you look at the vote there,
pretty.
Not much of a chance.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be calling all kinds of races. Associated Press moving Larry Hogan winning a landslide in Maryland. Interesting dynamic there where Republican governors...
Got my nifty blue book so I can help us out because I don't remember a lot of these.
Baker in Massachusetts. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll look at Texas. We're going to
limitations on payday loans. That one's fine. It's not going to affect us that much.
In the Senate. Keep it here. America's election headquarters.
110 is the traffic. That's the sales tax. We definitely want that one going down.
This Thursday.
So that looks good so far. 109, I actually voted for. I wish it would pass because it forces the state government to be responsible and spend money on, on our roads and quit spending it on welfare programs that are a joke. Campaign contributions. That one's kind of irritating, actually. That one I was okay with. Basically allowed
get lumberjacked. The fire hose
somebody to match. So, like if an individual candidate dumped $1 billion into their campaign, somebody's campaign could generate that much revenue as well. So that one I was all right with, but things that don't change the Constitution, I'm always okay with. They don't pass. So.
Save you money. Save up to 10% when you bundle with insurance.
Spokesperson. Wow.
He's a pretty good spokesperson.
That's not good.
So when I say drivers who switch from Geico to insurance,
that one tightened up a little bit.
$12, you probably won't believe me. Hey, actor lady whose scene was cut. Hi. But you can believe this insurance employee, Nancy Abraham. Seriously, send her an email. And
that's an at-large. That's not good.
No emails. When insurance is affordable, it's surprisingly painless.
Don't miss your chance to win $7,000 a week for life from Publishers Clearinghouse.
Where were we? We were looking at 75.
December 21st, you could win $7,000 a week for life.
It's kind of funny that I think this is probably when people just didn't understand what was going on, but that's fair.
But now you can protect yourself with Experian.
74. I'd totally be okay if 74 passes. Because that forces your government to be responsible, not a bunch of tardos. 73, that's no. That's good. That's funding for public schools. That is not the right way to do it. The slavery amendment, 66 said yes. No. Pretty indifferent on that one. Ooh, Y and Z. Oh yeah, see, those are going to definitely pass. There's a lot of support for those, which that's fine. X. Ooh, X is a big deal. X is the industrial hemp definition, so if this passes, you're going to see a pretty large influx in hemp growth in the state, which is cool. Knowing somebody who does it, it's pretty good stuff, like pretty interesting what you can do with it. A lot of medical stuff, so. Election ballot for you little turd monkey. 21% in Colorado.
Brian Setzer and many more. This Tuesday, Dan Aykroyd.
Whom would you rather be, Bill the Conehead or Wild and Crazy Guy?
W's a little weird. If it passes, they say it'll simplify it. So whatever.
President Trump is under
lowered the age to 21. I was pretty indifferent on that, but I don't care.
This level of partisan assault. President Trump is making good on his promises, but he needs your support now more than ever. We must stand with President Trump now and put an end to these baseless conspiracy theories. Please join me by calling the number on your screen to support President Trump now, all the way through 2020.
I'm pretty sure this one is not going the right direction.
Please call
800-295-2305 and press 1 to stand with President Trump. He is delivering for the American people.
I told, who'd I tell? Oh, I was talking to somebody today, and I told them when I went and watched Jared Polis at the debate at CMU and Stapleton, like I knew he was done at that point. Like, just the way he presented himself, it was bad.
First of all, it looks like
and as a statewide candidate, I knew it wasn't going to resonate. Like the Western Slope, I'm sure will be pretty dominant voting for him. But yeah,
suspicion is we're going to see.
I'm not going to be at all surprised if that doesn't maintain in a pretty significant loss.
I was talking to a Republican bigwig the other day who actually had gone in to help campaign for him.
See if any of this is in.
He doesn't have much charisma. And I said, well, what do you expect? I said, Mitch Daniels, Mr. Charisma, you know. I like Mitch Daniels.
House District 57.
But this is a state where
there we go.
Braun fits it. Here's a guy who grew up in Jasper. Goes to Harvard Business
wow,
School,
yeah, that's not a shock.
Biggest companies in America decides to
Catlin, he'll probably win.
Where he's the vice president
of
a furniture
popular.
company, and then decides I'm going to go start my own business.
Let's see what old RBC's doing, huh?
He comes across to solid, steady, and not very charismatic, but that may be good for Indiana.
Like Tennessee.
Oh, maybe I have to click down here. That's dumb.
Vote moved this race. It definitely affected this race. It shifted it at that time. We should point out on the board that Republicans' net gain is now plus.
I don't know what that sound was.
So Democrats now.
I got some sort of notification there.
3 pickups.
Oh, whoa! Good job, Rio Blanco.
The Senate, it gets a lot tougher with Joe Donnelly going down.
You know, you mentioned Kavanaugh, and that's right. But and I was looking.
These just make me laugh.
In August and September.
This is why nobody campaigns here. Just so you guys know.
In the private surveys for the Senate leadership,
they know. Oh, thank God! This is the one everybody was worried about. Gary Moyer is going to be our county commissioner. Reed Kelly sucks.
Throwing gasoline on a fire that was already burning pretty well, and that has not gone away. The issue of the importance.
That's 53%
has sort of receded
turnout.
Minds,
wow!
But the enthusiasm that is still there right here at the end.
Yeah, and that was one of the issues that we saw in the voter analysis. It looked like
Kavanaugh. Is that 100% in? No way.
That perhaps it had
no way.
Democrats more than Republicans. It was very close in terms of this voter analysis, and yet, as we
said, was a percent report.
Bredesen was pressed and pressed. What would you have done if you were in the Senate? Finally, he said, "I would have voted for Kavanaugh." And you look at Joe Donnelly, who said no. And that was big news when he made that decision. And Joe Manchin.
Whoa, look at those 100%.
For Kavanaugh, it had a number of positive factors working for him in West Virginia, but that was clearly one of them.
I don't have a little bit of time here before we take a break. Just bounce to Florida. What you're seeing in your magical computer there?
Well, there's still a lot of vote out still in the Panhandle for the Republicans, but this one has still got a lot of room to grow.
On the governor's and Senate.
Governors and the Senate side, because we have a lot of precincts out in Miami,
Broward, and
Palm Beach.
I don't care.
I will say this one interesting thing to me is
not at all. Oh, let's see what this one.
More votes than Scott does, and but not by a lot, but by excuse me, I'm sorry. Scott has 12,000 more votes.
This will be good.
Than DeSantis has.
Wow, people in Rio Blanco County actually voted for 112. That's crazy.
So part of this story is not just
surprising
that Trump the Trump endorsement helped.
This one tells me people didn't know what 109 was.
For some Floridians, there are 40,000 votes going to the.
It's people not doing their jobs, getting the info out.
And he's running 40,000 votes behind.
Okay, let's go back to all of Colorado. I think this may be.
But the vote out, you're saying there's some parts of Broward.
We may be 100% in right now.
Broward and Palm Beach.
I don't know.
About 300 plus precincts left out. There are a bunch of precincts left out in the Panhandle. The question is going to be a race to how much of the Panhandle offsets
there we go.
Southeast Florida, and then how many in Southeast Florida can close the now existing gap between the Republicans and Democrats.
Well, here's a positive. The lawyers don't have to fly in. They can they're ready there and ready for the recount.
The recount in Florida not only employs every single Florida election law expert, it has everybody.
Well, that's getting closer than I thought.
For whatever number of days are necessary.
That one is not.
To conduct the recount.
Like 36.
Okay, this one's tightened up.
Well, that
all right.
36.
All right.
We remember that bitterly. And
still says 0% counties reporting.
Bring back the old memories.
Yes. All right, panel.
This one's expected to flip, so that's going to be a loss, I think.
when my hot water heater failed. She was pregnant. In-laws were coming. A little bit of water, it really...
Oh, Colorado, we're going blue. We're going blue.
We called USAA, and they greeted me as they always do. Sergeant Baker, how are you? They were on it. It was unbelievable. Having insurance is something everyone needs, but having USAA, that's a privilege. We're the Bakers, and we're USAA members for life.
USAA. Get your insurance quote today.
Ugh.
The Season of Adventure sales event is happening now.
Oh, here we go.
Above and beyond.
Hops are like grapes, special conditions of terroir, of soil, the growing
Shocker there.
conditions of climate
So,
and sunlight.
this is
will
interesting.
produce unique flavors. A lager beer
Wow, okay.
should be fruity, floral, and the flavors that we want in Boston Lager can only come from hops grown in this little piece of ground.
Give me my map back.
Your brain changes as you get
So, okay, we're gonna have a little
helps your brain with an ingredient
viewage here. This is interesting, guys. Very. So, this is obviously the Denver metro area. Boulder's not in yet. They're going to be significantly blue, but Colorado Springs, this will be interesting. Let's see something here.
You'll enjoy many extras, including Wi-Fi,
Wrong computer.
cultural enrichment from ship to shore, and engaging excursions. Viking, voted #1 river cruise line by Condé Nast readers. Learn more at vikingcruises.com.
We're dining with Ducey, and Steve is whipping up his favorite dishes with fans.
Let's hope this goes well.
Brought to you by Cuisinart.
Okay, so
The Good Life.
Do you know where we're going?
We're going this way. What is this?
They have cameras.
Smart security designed and installed just for you, backed by 24/7 protection. And now get one indoor camera and one outdoor camera installed free. Plus
What?
$100 off installation. Call 1-800-ADT ASAP today. Scarecrow Service, brought to you by ADT.
Wow, Garfield blue? That can't be right. They can't have much in yet. That'd be mind blowing. So yeah, you can kind of see here. These are all red districts. I might be dead wrong.
Ron DeSantis from
Dead wrong.
As you see, 93%. It's still, that's the vote, the percentage of vote.
Wow, that'll be interesting.
Too close to call for us.
Looks like I said, Boulder County.
Also too close to call.
So this should be pretty dominant.
Separating Rick Scott and Bill Nelson, the incumbent Democrat.
I won a few there,
Take a look
but
at Kirsten Sinema. This is too early based on our
that one's
voter
pretty
analysis.
tight.
We don't have
Okay.
the raw vote total in
I
there.
could be wrong,
We do
guys.
have some calls to
We
make,
might have hope.
obviously,
We
just
may
called
have
Indiana
hope.
Senate for Mike Braun.
But that is why the numbers are so
And we have some
skewed. These
governor's
districts.
races to
This is your.
call as well. In Vermont, Phil Scott
I don't know,
will
a
win,
Democrat
for the
heartthrob
Republican will defeat
district.
the
I don't know what you
Democrat
want
in
to call it.
Vermont, traditionally skewing Democrat in that state. Also, the Republican winning in
Their
Oklahoma,
stronghold.
the big
There you
win
go.
for Kevin Stitt, following up on Mary Fallon, the incumbent Republican, and Rhode Island. The Democrat Gina Raimondo will win in Rhode Island's governor's race.
Let's bring in our next guest from the White House. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders joins us now. Sarah, good evening to you. Big election night. We're waiting for a lot of these results to come in, but how are folks at the White House feeling about this so far?
So far, we feel good about where we are. Frankly, right now, the president's had an incredible night, particularly when you look at Mike Braun. This was a candidate that a lot of people had projected to lose, and not just lose by a little, but lose by a lot. This is somebody the president just went in and closed the deal for last night. This was also somebody who had an incredibly tough primary, and immediately following the primary, the president came in, unified the party, brought them together, and you're seeing the results of that hard work pay off tonight. So far, we feel good about where we are, but still a long night to go.
What do you think about the House? Like, what is the thinking at the White House, and what numbers you're looking at right now? Democrats need 23. They've picked up 2, and we haven't made a lot of calls along those lines.
Certainly the House is still early. One race to look at is Andy Barr of Kentucky. This was a race that a lot of people were saying was one to watch.
This one's tightening up. So yeah, okay.
Could look like. That's been
little panic, but I think we're looking all right.
Frankly, the candidates who have been
AG race.
the president, and the president has gone into.
It's really interesting to me that
the last several weeks, our
that one went that way. I wonder if it switches if I go back to a governor's race.
And certainly feel good
I wonder if it's
about
flipped
where
already.
Headed. But again, very early in
Nope.
this process.
What the hell, Garfield? Get it together.
Anybody that expected a blue wave tonight, probably not going to get that. And I think that is 100% due to the president's leadership and the success that he's had in the first 2 years since taking office.
That's nuts.
He's had unprecedented success, and you're seeing a
Tight,
lot of that payoff. And you're seeing Americans come out.
Oh man, I love our county.
They are proud of this president.
Good job, Mesa.
What he's done in these 2 years.
Sarah, thoughts on Florida? Obviously, the president put his weight behind Ron DeSantis, really helped him to win the primary there in a big way. Tight race there for the governor's race and also for the Senate right now.
Again, that's an extremely close race. This is a place.
Do a little quick check on 112. See if I'm.
Republicans could take either of those seats, and certainly if they do, I think that a lot of the credit will go to the president, who's been in to campaign for them.
I bet the blue is in Denver. Oh wait, green. Oh, way to make it complicated.
So our last thing, we had former Pennsylvania
Route County. Come on.
Earlier, Democrat from Pennsylvania. Yeah. He said
Summit. That's not a shocker.
The House, and that's still an if. As
Denver.
Right now, that they should legislate.
I think this is all the evidence you need right here on 112.
Do you think that
Denver County, very liberal.
Over the House?
I think that should happen. I think that's what America wants to see. Look, we have a president that's willing to work across aisle. We feel good about where we are in the Senate, but if Democrats take the House,
see how those are even really tight. Like I don't.
They should
by the time it's said and done, I don't think it's going to be that close.
There are a lot of things that the president would love to work with them on, and hopefully they'll come to the table.
All right, I won't click automatic refresh.
The party of resist and obstruct, but want to actually work with this president to solve some of the big problems that we've been leading on over the last 2 years.
Sarah, there's been a lot of discussion about the president didn't campaign hard enough.
So we're still not completely.
Even he said at one point at one of the rallies, you know, sometimes the economy is not the most interesting thing to talk about. He really went in very intensely on the issue of the caravan.
Pretty good turnout, really.
Is he feeling good about that decision right now?
Look, the president talked about the economy constantly.
Tightening up. We're tightening up.
Cover the economy. It's the first time you'd ever have a booming economy. They say you guys didn't talk about it enough.
That's interesting.
We talked about the economy.
Oh, CD3 Pueblo came in.
We're going to continue to, because it's going to continue to do well under this president because of the tax cuts, because of deregulation. We've seen an economic boom like we haven't seen in decades, and I think you're seeing that reflected certainly in the Senate votes tonight, as well as the president's fight to get Justice Kavanaugh on the bench.
I love how Colorado hates taxes, but yet we still vote blue on everything.
Sarah Sanders on the North Lawn of the White House. Sarah, thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Sarah.
We have a major race projection to make right now in that so-called jungle primary in Mississippi's special Senate election. Fox News Decision Desk can now project that none of the 4 candidates will win tonight because none will get 50% of the vote. So what does that mean? The top 2 finishers, you're looking at it right there, Republican incumbent Cindy Hyde-Smith and Democratic challenger Mike Espy will face each other in a runoff election on November 27th. It's early.
He's still down.
You've got 43% to 39%.
That's scary.
Bottom line is neither one will get to 50%. There is a scenario. It might not happen now with Joe Donnelly going down in Indiana, but the scenario would be for Democrats to take control, that they would win enough to have a 50-50 tie, and then with Mississippi hanging out there, it would be.
Make sure you guys are following, subscribing, whatever you're watching on. Need followers.
Media.
We're gonna be doing some fun stuff later. You know, this is the important stuff, the unfun day for you guys. I love this stuff, so doesn't bother me any.
Take a quick break.
Yes.
We're gonna stick. We're gonna keep.
Yeah.
Do we have another race?
Make sure to follow. We can get some cool notification things here.
Carl, all right, talk to me about Texas.
Karl Rove.
Well, we got the early vote in, and we're missing Harris County, at least in the numbers I'm looking at. So Early vote has been good for the Democrats in recent years, and there's a gap between the top of the ticket and the next person on it. Ted Cruz is losing and Greg Abbott is winning. My suspicion is that we're going to see a little bit more blue when Harris County comes in, but we have about 100 counties out in rural Texas, including places like Midland and Odessa and Abilene and Amarillo that are not in, and this is going to be a red state by the end of that process.
So right now,
he's the man. He knows everything. He's brilliant.
But it's going to be a big gap. I mean, when you got the governor winning, the early vote is Democrat, and the Republican governor's winning by 10 points, and Ted Cruz is slightly behind.
We talked last night, Carl. You felt very good about this race. You said Texas will act like Texas in the end, and that he was way too progressive for Texas. So how do you explain how close this is?
Well, he's got a good absentee vote. If you take a look at it, for example, in the
I'm gonna go with Pueblo's probably tighten this up.
It's always been the little blueberry in the middle.
She's from Routt County, so that's not a shock.
Right next to Hayes and Williamson that have been Republican.
Oh wow,
and in
Pueblo.
The early vote,
Wow, that's close,
part
but
of that is that the Beto campaign.
this will be red.
Francis O'Rourke
This will be red.
did a job of going to
Blue.
Texas State University.
Blue. Blue.
Well,
Blue.
I call him by the name that he appears on the ballot by.
Probably be good.
But they went to the Texas State University in
Kid
San
Bucks
Marcos,
dominating. Lamb. Okay, this is looking better.
Special voting location, and literally,
Like I said, that was
thousands
weird.
of students a day were going through that special voting location.
Looks like Mike Hoffman might be done, which is bad. That's a seat lost.
For Robert Francis O'Rourke.
Okay. Run here, Britt. I'll come back to this. We are now ready to make one of the biggest calls of the night. The Fox News Decision Desk can now project that Democrats will take control of the House of Representatives for the first time in 8 years, dealing a major setback to President Trump's legislative agenda, giving fresh hope to liberals who want to investigate, as we just talked about, possibly even impeach the president. Democrats now will control the Senate.
Although the exact size of
the House, I'm sorry,
the
House.
Exact size of this, there's a look at the balance of power right now. The majority size is not clear yet. It could be a very slim margin. Democrats will soon have to
They're basing that off contested districts. So, like I said, Kaufman's district.
There were 30-some candidates who ran on saying that
that's
they would
one of them.
not try to put
sucks.
Nancy Pelosi back in the speaker's position. She's made it very clear that she thought that they would win.
Nancy Pelosi as a speaker again.
Roll again.
Democrats control.
Thanks for nothing, Paul Ryan. Thanks for nothing.
Voter analysis data plus the raw total, looking at the numbers, the decision desk making that call. Chris, your thoughts on that and what it means in the big picture?
It is a very, very big deal. I would think of Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker of the House, Adam Schiff as the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Elijah Cummings as the head of the House Oversight Committee.
Oh, my
Jerry
gosh.
Nadler as the head of the Judiciary Committee, Maxine Waters, Financial
Sounds
Services.
terrible.
I know a lot of listeners out there, their heads are exploding, but this is going to be a very different Washington. And yes, I think that you'll see an effort to legislate, and maybe on things like
Elections, though, man.
Possibility of doing it. But one of the things that a lot of Democrats also believe that they have been sent to Washington to do in this new Congress will be to investigate. And you can be sure that they're going to haul members of the Trump administration up, and it'll make life very difficult for them. And there's been some criticism that the Trump White House is not prepared, as other White Houses have been when they lose control of one house, for the onslaught of investigations and subpoenas that they're about to face.
No, there were a lot of investigations by Republicans of the FBI and other subjects during these last couple of years. One difference we can certainly count on is that the investigations mounted by House Democrats into the Trump administration will receive far more favorable coverage than anything the Republicans have done in the last couple of years. It will be adoring coverage.
This one's
will magnify the effect of it. And
not looking better yet.
About it everywhere. And that's just a reality that the media we have today present.
Our bigger panel here,
He's
Steve,
bringing
Molly,
it in. Oh,
Katie,
yeah. See, those have all switched now.
Molly, what are your thoughts on what
This one's crazy.
means?
Well, people should have had an expectation going into this, knowing that
Really?
the average number of seats that Democrats were expected to get would be, just looking historically, was 28, which is more than was needed to take the House, that this was a natural result to expect. At the same time, I think it's actually challenging for Democrats because a lot of the seats that they're picking up are these candidates who were moderate, who were appealing to voters precisely because they're moderate, to come in and make it an investigation agenda as opposed to an agenda to help the American people, might put those very same seats that they just won to get the majority in jeopardy. So it's going to be, I think, a debate in the Democratic side whether to appeal to the base and have, you know, the investigation palooza, or to have a more broad legislative agenda.
Jessica.
Oh, they got in there for one reason. Let's not kid ourselves.
Take the majority of the House.
I'm so relieved and glad that I was on set for this moment, because I walked out here kind of panicked. I think it's great news. Obviously, when you saw the exit polls, it was very clear that healthcare was the #1 issue, and Democrats have been leading by 15+ points on the issue of healthcare for months now. To your point, Molly, I think it's a little.
Can we not forget what happened last time they had the House in healthcare?
Or legislate. I hope it's legislate. There is room with President Trump, who has liberal roots and loves to build things, to do some infrastructure together and to get on the same page about a lot of issues that a more conservative Republican president might not have done. The balance of power in the Senate will also be huge here in deciding how much we can do in terms of working together. But big sigh of relief here, and interested in how big the margin ends up.
Yeah, Steve?
I think that when you look at the serious implications of this, it is pretty much bad news all round, because what it means is that you're going to get a dent in that economic progress, because people's confidence in the economy will suffer. I think business confidence will be undermined, and I think that could start to undermine the boom that we've seen. But I think
let me just interrupt you. Historically, the markets have liked the split government.
You know, the Clinton markets like gridlock.
The Clinton government, they kind of liked that government. But I know what you're saying as far as moving things forward with the Trump agenda.
I think what they'll be worried about is an expectation that you're going to see a return, if this is a sign of things to come, a return to the days of regulation and high taxes that get in the way of enterprise. And I think that will be the thing to look out for. But in terms of the politics, I think that, as Molly was saying, if we think about where we are,
this guy's actually doing decent
it
against
feels
him.
to me as if actually the Democrats are underperforming the expectation. And in fact, if you look at what's going on as of now,
That's crazy. We're going to have 3.
It feels like the Trump effect, if you like, is positive,
3 seats.
not negative. Where he really put the effort in, that's delivering the results for the Republicans. And on the other hand, what the Democrats and the resistance movement particularly were hoping for, this massive repudiation of Donald Trump and everything he stood for, that doesn't seem to be transpiring. And what we're getting is a pretty much of a tepid result. Of course, it gives them control, as we're projecting, and that will have real-world consequences. But politically, this doesn't feel like the kind of result that they were looking for at all.
Yeah.
Just to pick on what we're saying earlier, it's worth remembering that even if he were to lose control of the Senate, his tax cut is protected because he can protect it with a veto. He can also protect all the things that went with it. So an awful lot of his program is in place
and key regulation.
He can continue.
I'm so glad that's not looking good.
So the legislative effect of this, I think, will be gridlock. And as you pointed out, markets like gridlock in the past. It won't be. There'll be no big regulatory legislative agenda, but the main pieces of his economic program are in place and almost certain to stay.
Katie, quickly, he'll also now have a foil as he gets ready for 2020.
Right. He has someone to run against, and that will be House Democrats, especially if they go with the investigative route. When you have people like Maxine Waters, Elijah Cummings, and Adam Schiff in line for these chairmanships on the Oversight Committee, the House Intelligence Committee, et cetera, I think that the Republicans in the White House are in for some pretty serious rides. But moving forward on the Senate, so far, we have to look at the Marsha Blackburn race. She is far more on the Trump agenda than Bob Corker was. That's a win for President Trump and his agenda. And although the House is flipped, which causes legal problems for the White House, the Senate can do a lot on the president's agenda, especially when it comes to judges, even if the House has been flipped.
Still looking good.
You know, an interesting thing is going to be, what's the margin going to be for the Democrats?
I'm
And
gonna
who is making up those new members? There are
see what maybe. Let's see
Democratic challengers
CS4.
who are on the record saying they will not support Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. And there are 11 incumbent Democrats, all of whom are returning, who've said, I will not support Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. So if she does, if the number is 225 or 230, And we've got 11 Democrats already for certain returning, be joined by a group of new people saying not Nancy Pelosi.
You're gonna hear some audio for a second? Sorry.
218 votes to make her Speaker of the House.
Panel, thank you. The other question is how many cabinet members decide to answer this before the investigations start.
See if they're calling anything in Colorado
yet. A lot of tight races. We're getting close to some calls, we think. We're going to bring that to you all after the break.
Take a look at Missouri right after the break.
Oh, it's not even on yet. What?
Green Book is the feel-good movie of the year.
Oh, CBS, they can't because TV shows and stuff.
Down south, Atlantic City, the Deep South.
This Thanksgiving.
In the Deep South, there's gonna be problems. When you see me worried, Tony, you'll know if I'm worried.
How about some quiet time?
It's amazing you said that. My wife used to say that all the time.
Their journey inspired an unexpected friendship.
I don't think I've ever met anyone with your appetite.
Green Book.
So they're still not calling anything yet, but...
Hey, what are you guys doing here?
We're Voya. We stay with you to and through retirement.
So you'll still be here to help me make smart choices?
Well, with your finances, that is. We had nothing to do with that tie.
Voya, helping you to and through
Oh, man.
This is empty. What do you think?
Oh, dude, stop.
What?
I got a ring.
What are we supposed to do?
Well,
I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd start running.
Let's maybe
Now, gentlemen, hustle!
Does your doorbell do that? Ours does. Get tough on crime with the Ring Video Doorbell. Keep your home and your neighborhood safe.
I'm just glad we kept our district. Such good news.
everybody wants a new,
different, maybe tighten it up a little.
Better world.
Let's see what it looks like here.
Do what it takes to build it and keep it running. The people who understand that no matter what the question, the obstacle, or the challenge, there's only one answer. Let's do the work.
See, this is the hope. Amendments Y and Z will change this, hopefully. It's like
shampoo with a brain. So
like this district, Arapahoe, like
the more you shampoo,
that's crazy.
the less gray you have. How smart is that?
There's a 23,000.
GX shampoo from Just for Men.
That's pretty even.
We really pride
And
ourselves
3, so it's like a 20,000 advantage. That's pretty significant. Hopefully it cleans that up.
So when she had auto glass damage, she chose Safe. With Safe Light, she could see exactly when we'd be there.
You must be Pascal.
Yes, ma'am. Saving her
That
time
one tightened up.
so she can save
Cool.
the science project.
So a tree falls in your brand new car and totals it. And as if that wasn't bad enough, now your insurance.
So Larimer, I would imagine, is going to be pretty significant.
What good is it? You'd be better off just
Lead against 112. Delta, obviously, is Montrose will be. San Miguel might. These down here, somewhere, one of these counties down here has oil and gas. I think Los Animas does. So Huff and Arrow might. It'll all be green. Light green, sorry. Sorry.
We are back. Let's take a look at some of these key Senate races of the Big Ten that we've been watching all along. We are waiting for results from Arizona, which is still too close to call at this point. Take a look at Texas as well, which is a very interesting race, 49.7 to 49.2. That's 7% in at this point, but that one may be a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be going in. Let's take a look at Florida as well. In the top left-hand corner there, you see Bill Nelson, longtime incumbent senator against Rick Scott, the former governor in Florida. That one is also a very tight race. Scott is slightly ahead at this point, 95% of that in. Still waiting for the Panhandle, still waiting for Palm Beach County, Broward County in the Florida races, which have become very interesting tonight. Missouri as well, just to round up there, 46.4% for Josh Hawley.
Texas should be really concerned right now.
There's a lot still to come in.
That race being that close is extremely concerning for them.
Still in that pub. Are you still there?
How you doing there, Steve?
Springfield?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, you know, when you came to me 3 hours ago here at the Patton Alley Pub in Springfield, Missouri, there were only about 10 people here. But because we were on television, everybody from the county came because Fox News is making this election central for Springfield, Missouri. All right. Now, okay, now I'm going to poll the audience right now regarding the Senate. Who wants to hear some news about the Senate? It is still too close to call. Sorry. All right. However, let me ask this. How many here tonight voted earlier today for Claire McCaskill? Make some noise. Okay, very good. And how many people voted for Josh Hawley? Okay. Number one issue for you voting. Who thought it was health care? Really? Nobody? Economy. One of Josh Hawley's number one issues was Judge Kavanaugh. All right. And what about the caravan?
44 Republicans.
Anything
Remember,
there?
one pickup on the GOP side.
Not so much on this.
Senate
This guy right here,
remain
Alan.
to be
We were talking to him earlier. What
I
was
want to
your
go right
number
to
one
Nia
issue
for a
this
projection.
For us, it's the economy. Lucas and I are.
They just left Steve.
That's right, Dana. We can make some projections in these
The
governor's
economy is
races.
going very
In
well right
Illinois,
now.
CNN
I don't
projects
want
that
to
the
do
winner of
anything
that
to
race
mess that
is
up.
Jay.
What is happening right now?
But your son
This is a
did not vote
pickup
Republican.
for
No,
Democrats. A very, very expensive race.
But this
Democrats
time around, I wasn't a big fan of either of the candidates. I voted third party.
What just happened here?
Kevin Stitt, the Republican, defeating Drew Edmondson in that governor's race. Another projection.
One other
CNN
question
can make
as we walk over here. How many people thought
I don't know why that
this election was
muted.
a referendum about the president of the United States?
It's weird.
Well, not so much.
Huh.
And listen, before we go, got to introduce these. This
was very odd.
right here because they came in right after our live shot earlier. And Brett and Martha, the reason they came, they're all dressed up, is because they're going to the Josh Hawley victory party. Fingers crossed, they said earlier. But the reason they came back here was because there is a rumor on the internet that apparently Brett Baier is going to buy the entire bar drinks. So we're just going to have to find out about that.
I heard that too.
It's on. I'll give him my credit card.
Yeah, right?
All right, Steve. Thank you very much. Have a great night. We want to go back just a second to Indiana, and this is a huge win for the Republicans against the incumbent Joe Donnelly, who just released a statement saying, a few minutes ago, I called Mike Braun, congratulated him on winning a hard-fought race. I'd like to thank every single American who believed in this campaign and worked to make it successful, and every Hoosier whom I have come across over the last 6 years who helped me to better serve my state. It's been one of the greatest honors of my life to represent Indiana in the Senate. I wish Mike the best. I hope he makes every single Hoosier proud as our senator. The incumbent Senator Joe Donnelly losing to Republican Mike Braun.
Yep. And
Okay, we're tightening up now.
It looks like a lot of the vote is in
Like that.
Florida. Rick Scott
Ooh,
is
Brockler's
ahead
tightening up.
right now. If he does end up winning, that would be another pickup. Too close to call at this point, as I said. The difference is 83,000 votes, according to the numbers that we have up there. But that's one that we're watching really closely as well.
Let's bring in our panel back. Carl, you're just writing stuff out there. What do you got?
Well, just looking at the gap in Texas between Greg Abbott and Ted Cruz, and back and forth, but just the maneuvering.
Okay, no whiteboard tonight.
I got a whiteboard, but their security took it away from me. They said that you considered it a threat, so I don't know. Maybe we can bring it on later with your personal permission.
Of course, of course. Britt, as you look at the night, this is going to come down to the drama of the Senate. And really, if that firewall, now that the House, we've called for the Democrats, whether the president has a firm control of his party in the Senate.
Yeah, and there are election experts out there that have called Florida Senate for Scott. I think it's probably early to do that, but that's happening. So what that tells us is it's looking pretty good for him. And if they win that, I think the Republicans are safely in control of the Senate. And it means that the president will have the opportunity going forward, as he's had for the past couple of years, to appoint more judges and get them confirmed. That's what Mitch McConnell has been focused on heavily. That is what he's
Get it. I'm still intrigued by the
and they could
Ted Cruz race
over the next couple of years.
Crazy.
Continuing what they've been doing, and that's
crazy.
Think about it.
Why did that not open?
The
There we go.
House would flip. Right? We've thought that for a long time. And we've more recently come to believe the Senate would not, and it looks like there's no blue wave. It looks like a blue night because they win the House. But it doesn't appear so far that we have a blue wave.
Yeah, and that's really important if you look
wow,
at
it's crazy
how
how
important that control is.
Well,
how blue we're getting.
Race we haven't talked about at all tonight that I think most people expect that the Republicans are going to win, which is North Dakota.
Yep.
And Kevin Cramer against Heidi Heitkamp. Heidi Heitkamp, the incumbent Democratic senator, and it looked in the most recent polls like Cramer had a distinct lead, and interestingly enough, President Trump didn't even feel the need in the last day or so to go out there because it looked like that was a safe seat for the Republicans. So, if we call that, then
really, it's looking like pretty good
Didn't you think when she went
amendments on everything there?
Kavanaugh, that she was looking past this election in that so very red state?
Everybody's voting
she was
now.
looking to her future in another office in another.
Stuff.
You know, it's hard to
Transportation. This is getting pretty handily
But
lowered.
it seemed if there was a political calculation,
Glad about that.
she wasn't making it.
It's nothing like fighting the entities you're involved in over freaking raising sales tax.
In West Virginia.
Start spending the money better. You don't need more. It's pretty simple.
In. Cramer
Pretty
is
simple.
significantly right now. In our voter analysis data, we have a pretty big win for Cramer as it's shaping up. We're going to wait for more raw vote total before decision desk makes a call there. And I love the messages, Britt, to the decision desk, the subtle. Somebody else has made the call. Can we get a shot of the decision desk?
I'm just reporting they get to decide.
That's exactly. Here they are.
There they are. They're
Let's look
very
at them.
hard
What are they doing?
Can I say that's a fun group of people?
What are they
I want to
doing?
spend the evening with them.
All right, somebody's eating.
Looks like the state Senate may stay off the first look.
There's Chris.
Interrogation room
Bill
with an
Salmon,
aerial
our
camera
boss in
over it.
Washington.
Okay, Arn and Michigan in the back. He's pointing at some screens.
We're going
That's
to pay
important.
a price for this tomorrow, though, that we've mocked them this way.
No, I know.
Should we ask them if they should thumbs up whether or not we're ready to make a Florida call yet? No.
Okay, they're not even looking at us.
Grand Junction, folks, you're good.
This is an interesting story.
You're very good, it looks like. Scott's going to keep that.
State, but 25 years ago, it was a Democrat state.
Man,
2 U.S. senators, both Democrats, 1 congressman Democrat.
This is the sitting state senator. That'd be a seat lost. That stays. That's a big district, so
I think it was. And guess
it's
who the
also.
state Republican chairman was who engineered his election?
Hope that's just not reporting stuff going on.
That's
spooky.
And help lay the foundation for the energy boom. In
Crazy part is like you forget how important all that is, but it is.
So you had enormous support.
A big part of it.
You're going to see not only Western North Dakota.
I won't be surprised if Brockler wins that in the end.
A lot of people out there who know that their jobs exist because he took on the issue of providing the infrastructure for
yeah, I mean that's pretty tight, and let's see what's reporting.
Permits and the ability to
Most
develop
these
the market into
guys.
what it is today. This state is now the second largest energy
Interesting.
producer in America.
Oh yeah, Lake County's really small. I forget.
Authorized the pipelines so that crude could move by pipeline rather than truck or trade. The state of North Dakota is now collecting $500,000 more a day in revenue.
Who knows?
Because it gets
One
to
could
get
go either way.
of the profits of moving it by pipeline rather than by truck.
Still interested by this.
The state is so popular.
See if it's
President Trump
fixed.
is so popular in the state.
Garfield County's gone blue. Wow.
Lines up like this.
There must be a pretty good population increase in Glenwood Springs. That's crazy.
President Trump talk about this night?
It's a rifle. I don't know. Oh,
usually speaks about things, which is
that's what it is.
But in this case, I actually think it's
rifle is very, very
when you look at those special elections,
heavy Hispanic community.
The past couple of years,
that's possibly what's going on there.
And President Trump had very
forget about that.
High disapproval. I think people thought that coming into midterms, it was going to be a bloodbath. That
interesting.
President Trump would have to hide behind his desk.
Interesting.
On the campaign trail. It turns out that he has been the #1 asset for keeping the Senate, and that is huge. He's a
Tartastic, how's your stream going, bud? He's just wrecking it on Destiny too.
That he has put forward, the economy being so good, the deregulation that has done so much to jumpstart the economy. These are reasons why Republicans are not facing what I think most people thought they were going to face.
Oh, you're off. You're
Jessica, when you look at Heidi Heidkamp, Chris Van Hollen said recently, that the last race she won,
Posting
she was
chainsaw,
down by 10
huh?
points, and she's a great closer.
Fair enough.
And she's able to do that.
Fair
so
enough.
Is this potentially an example? We were talking about
Take
Democrats
it,
picking some very
Dutton
good candidates
did not get on
in
with
the
you to
House.
play, huh?
Carl's
Okay,
description
let's see you,
of
Dutton.
Kramer and the
See you.
economic, boom that he's
Hello,
helped to bring to
hello,
North Dakota.
BF.
Is this a situation where it was a good candidate?
What up?
It looks like it.
You watching this up in South Dakota, right? South Dakota?
And I do agree with the analysis.
Looking at our terrible governor's race scenario right here. It's pretty bad, huh?
I also think that that's just how she felt, and her mother is a survivor of sexual assault, and she felt very strongly about
Let's see if this came in.
But I'm really
Gosh
interested
dang,
to
I have
see
too many
the
mice,
Trump effect, what goes
too
on
many
with Josh
keyboards.
Hawley, someone that he campaigned for
There it is. All right.
a couple times. Obviously, Braun is exciting.
Give you a quick update since you just jumped in, Bard.
No, because Mike Braun is speaking right now. We're just wondering.
Governor's race isn't great looking, but these are tightening up, so I think it's real heavy Democratic on the early voting. So amendments, propositions all look good. 112s. A little closer than I thought it would be, if I'm being honest. But I thought by the end it would be about 70-30, and it's not. Why did you switch to Periscope? What just happened? Yes, I can see everything you're doing.
Senator Donnelly called me about 15
Hello, Bard.
minutes ago.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. And just like any competition, you fight hard, you want to win, you got to make your case.
Oof. Kaufman is down big.
The one thing I would love to see change in politics.
That's gonna be good. Good.
Is it's gotten way too nasty on both sides. Yeah.
Oops, that's what I was just in.
It should be about ideas.
Yes.
About what you bring to the
Guess
table.
what? Was YouTube not working? Or it took me too long to respond?
Have had to carry that burden and the weight. Hope that changes down the road. Yes, sir. And then you look at other things. When I decided to do this,
Not good.
I wouldn't have done it.
Not good.
I mention it almost everywhere I go.
Throw up the map for you real quick.
It had been President Hillary Clinton.
Garfield apparently is silly.
And, you know,
Oh, In a Nut, thanks for the follow. Appreciate
because we
that.
as conservatives, being led by President Trump, we've got to prove why our way of thinking, why what
I hope you and the Tarv are watching this. Getting all updated on how ugly our state is getting and how purple we're getting. Probably should do this, but I don't want to. This is a big race. This guy winning. Big deal.
Because when we moved back to our hometown, we did
this is mind-blowing to me. Garfield goes blue. I don't know how I don't know if Garfield ever going blue.
Is that we need to take to Washington what works in the real world. What works in Jasper, Indiana, what works in Warsaw, Indiana, what works in this great state.
Oh, you're too sweet. You're sweet.
Just like we did
Not as cute as your husband, though. He's definitely cuter. I need to move. Oh, we need to move. Yeah, we're getting there for show.
Born in this state and in my hometown.
And Shell. I don't know. That could be you. I can't pull up Twitch and see anymore. My phone died. But your husband's was on YouTube. Might be on there. I'm not sure. Did you subscribe though? Are you guys subscribing and following? I know In a Nut did. I don't know if Bar did when he got onto YouTube. He didn't subscribe.
And what we're going to do is we're going to get more people from the real world.
Okay, back to this. Let's see what's going on.
Things in a dysfunctional system.
It's a big deal. I don't know if you guys haven't heard. They did say the House is going to switch over to Democratic power, but it's looking like we're going to pick up seats in the Senate, and Ted Cruz might lose. Shocker.
That's my goal.
Keep this up for just a second and we'll see.
Never in my wildest dreams
See if they give us some updates.
We made the decision to move back after serving on a school.
All right, so it is 10 p.m. here on the East Coast. Polls have closed in another 4 states, including Nevada, Montana, both of which will figure prominently, obviously, into determining which party will control the Senate. But we do have a race call.
Yes, we do. It's in the state of Utah.
Oh, was that out loud?
Surprise, but the decision desk can now project that former Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney will defeat Democratic opponent Jenny Wilson to succeed.
That, my friends, is what we call name recognition.
And it should be interesting to see.
And I don't even know if he lives in
Washington.
Yeah, I mean,
there.
That's something we should get some thoughts on because Jeff Flake
yes,
is on.
yes, he did.
John McCain, obviously.
I'm a little behind, Bard. I'm streaming, so streaming the Fox News feed, so I'm a little behind the live television.
I wouldn't overstate it though, because Mitt Romney, who made that savage,
he's definitely a moderate, so I don't know, but this one's big. This one's maintains.
All kinds of things.
She voted against Kavanaugh, and everybody that has voted with Kavanaugh won. Everybody who didn't lost.
Secretary of State, President Trump went out and endorsed Mitt Romney, and Romney was happy to get his endorsement. I agree with you. It's going to be fascinating to see. Yes, he's one of 100 senators, but he was as a former presidential nominee. He's a major voice in the party. I don't see him going there and becoming Jeff Flake and really going after Donald Trump, but I suspect there'll be some issues where there will be.
Sure, there will.
Maybe more on tone than there will be on substance.
As an executive, ran for president.
30 to 45 seconds? Okay. That's not too terrible.
Being 1 out of 100 in the U.S. Senate. We're waiting for more data.
Especially with the stream tie-up.
Projecting who will win the battle between incumbent Democratic Senator John Tester and Republican challenger Matt Rosendale, the state auditor. President Trump, of course, has made it his mission to try to defeat Tester, who helped torpedo the president's nomination of White House physician Ronnie Jackson to lead the Department of Veterans Affairs. At this moment, we have Tester with a lead in this race, but obviously we're just closing there.
Take a look at Nevada, where we have Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Rosen. She's got a slight lead over the incumbent Republican Senator Dean Heller.
I thought Dean Heller was the governor.
Winner in that race. Obviously, it was a Hillary Clinton win state in Nevada, so he is a Republican.
All right.
The only one Republican defending a state where Hillary won. Also, too early to project a winner.
Let's do a little state update here.
Election, which
see what's going on.
Republican Attorney General Adam Laxalt against Democrat Steve Sisolak, chairman of the Clark County Commission, in a battle to
you have fun. You're going to be having fun tomorrow, shooting birdies. Good luck.
Republican Governor Kim Reynolds,
good luck, sir.
Being challenged by Democratic lawyer Fred Hubble. Too early to call that race as well.
Major race call to make, though, in North Dakota. As we take a look, the Fox News decision desk can now project that Republican Congressman Kevin Cramer will unseat one-term Democratic Senator Heidi Heitkamp, scoring a crucial Senate pickup for the GOP.
She shouldn't have voted against Kavanaugh.
Whoop, against Cramer. This reliably red state sealed her political fate last month when she voted against Supreme Court
That's
Justice
crazy.
Kavanaugh. That may have
That's
been
awesome, though.
one of the major
Good
factors
seat.
for her. Obviously, there's a lot of
Good
economic
pickup.
factors at play in North Dakota as well. Kevin Cramer's got a long
Good
history there, as
pickup.
Paul was just talking about.
Just think about this. Now, this is 2 incumbent Democrats taken down, Joe Donnelly and Heidi Heitkamp.
Oh, this is Polis's district. That's who 2 is. That's right.
For some in Indiana, but now
that one's not tightening. I don't think this is updated in a while.
Need to pick up more because Republicans have added to their total.
Interesting that we're seeing in the Senate, which was where the action was, reaction to Kavanaugh playing such a big role in those races in particular.
Let's
I think
get
they
that
also
dub.
played a role in Joe Manchin's case because I was told at the time during that whole hearing that he was looking at polling that showed that if he voted no on Kavanaugh, he was done, which he ultimately did not do. There's been a lot of discussion. You remember there was considerable discussion about whether he waited.
Okay, these are tightening up. That's good. Definitely good.
Before coming out, which he did. But the White House
Montero,
said
he's got a fight ahead. That'll be interesting.
He was going to be with him. So
that one's tighter than I thought.
And it turned out to be the right calculation for his reelection.
Check out the governor map.
You look at the balance.
See how we're doing.
Senate Democrats now need a net gain of 4 seats because of the Republican pickups. And you start looking at the map.
Happy clip.
With our other panel,
Man, struggling
it's
here.
a little tougher to see a Democratic effort to take over control of the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, again, the Kavanaugh effect is something we spent so much time talking about.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy, man. I don't know what's going on in Garfield.
Races, Manchin, he spent millions and millions of dollars to protect that seat, ultimately voted for Kavanaugh. Obviously, in Indiana, same deal. Donnelly voted no. He lost. Missouri, we'll see where that ends up. Josh Hawley's taken a lead in the current vote count. In Missouri, we'll see later whether McCaskill can hold on to that seat. She voted against
I need to
Kavanaugh.
message somebody from there and be like, what is happening?
Against Kavanaugh.
Let's see.
Fair, and where maybe the White House oversteps, that people want to hold the president in check. But where they see rank unfairness, and I would add to that the constant demonization of the president as racist, as Hitler, as anti-Semitic, as every ism and ist you can think of. If Florida turns out to be held by the Republicans in the end, I'll think, and Georgia goes Republican, Oprah, Obama, the entire mainstream media have a huge amount of egg on their face. They invested huge in turning those states blue. And if those states don't flip blue, I think they have a lot to answer for, not Donald Trump.
One place,
of course, you'd say that.
And that is we're making the call for the Democrats to control the U.S. House of Representatives. Why are we making that call? Why, with all of those white seats still out there and our net gain in the House not at 23, why are we making that call? Here to explain is Chris Stirewalt, out of the jail of the decision desk room.
I feel like I've been summoned to the principal's office.
Why are we making that call?
Well, we're just that good. I don't mean to brag, but our Fox News voter analysis and what we're now starting to see as the House races count later and as they come in, because remember, with these House races, you don't have the kind of forecast you do on the Senate level. So it takes longer for them to start to catch up, but you're starting to see them catch up. And we said all along, look at that 6th district in Kentucky. That was a good one to watch. And the very fact that that race,
I guess, can say, when you have no idea how it's going to go, don't be surprised when it splits.
Numbers they need. They had no business doing so well in a district like that. And now we're starting to see 2nd District of Kansas, again, a place that Republicans should be in, have no trouble. They're struggling. And as we look around the bend, as we go around the country, you will see more and more Democratic seats
+7 already.
up. And at some point this evening, we're going to be able to tell you by how many seats the Democrats will take their majority, and that will have a lot to do with what they do once they get there.
Just throw it out there.
It's +7 right now, so where's it going to go?
I'm not telling. I'm not saying yet, but I'm telling you we will know. We will be able to tell you tonight before every race is called
not before
what kind of margin we're looking at. What's that?
Not before Brit Hume and his betting machine.
I don't want to tangle with Brit Hume's betting machine. I don't know, and he's probably got horse races on there and everything. All I know is the Fox News voter analysis is humming like it's
I hate hearing that.
Testarossa.
I hate it.
I'm so happy it's coming out, and we're really proud of the team.
So, Chris, while we've got you, 2 pickups, obviously, for the Senate for Republicans, and Florida is also, at this point, looking good for them. A quick thought on what Florida looks like and what you're waiting for, and Missouri as well.
Well, we will be counting, as I said, we'll be counting in Florida for a long time. Claire McCaskill is a tough out. The fundamentals, the structure of the state has significant advantage for Hawley. We know that. We know this is a very Republican state, but she is a very tough out. I know a couple things I'm not going to tell you right now, and I would say we are watching that state as closely as anything else, because this, if Hawley wins there, right? If he wins there, then it closes the door on any kind of Democratic hope to take the Senate and sets the stage for what a lot of people thought we were going to end up with tonight, which is a split decision. Democrats take control of the House and Republicans see gains in the Senate.
That's what we call in the business a deep tease.
Yeah. He always tells us. He knows things that he won't tell us.
He just won't tell us. All right.
Bring him down here. Come down here.
We'll bring you out again. When,
I'm up here with my bit of honey, and you're not taking me out.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
Back with the panel. Juan, your reaction to what Laura said earlier about what we're seeing on the map.
Well, so Laura projects that somehow this is like egg on the face is what I think you said, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't see it that way. To the contrary, what I see is that you have a lot of red states. And
Let's check 112. Do a little quick update. I don't know that Colorado's, I think we're kind of at a stall right here. Because percentages aren't changing, votes coming in aren't really adjusting. So I think we're kind of stuck.
Too far left for the state, but in fact, this is a
and see, this is what's interesting is this is all going no. So I won't be. I mean, even these counties are pretty close. Eagle, come on.
polarized electorate are
I
going
won't
to
be
come
surprised
out
if this
and they're
isn't
going to say, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm a Trump Republican at
not
this
close
point,
win
because
at the
he owns the
end.
party. So I'm going to be a Trump Republican.
But I still keep
But
checking,
it does not
keep you updated.
suggest to me somehow that Democrats have egg on their face, and especially when you look at the House results, Lord.
Just a reminder, if you are watching and you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that follow button or subscribe button so you can stay up to date next time we get on. See a whole bunch of good streams.
That's a Republican. That's a Republican district. Not now. Well, that's my point. You're making my point.
Redistricted and immigration had a huge
and then
effect
you
on
keep
that
going
state.
around the country and you keep seeing where it should be red states, red congressional districts where Democrats are doing well tonight.
Juan, we have had about 2 months of people saying that Donald Trump was a combination of Stalin, Hitler, every
let's check
tyrant
the
that ever
state
lived.
house.
And they plastered the airwaves, New York Times, Washington Post, and he's going to pick up some, frankly, lame candidates and middling candidates on his back to victory that everyone was predicting
what does that
he was
say?
going to lose.
It doesn't say much about people. It does not say much about anything but that we are tribal, divided, and there are people who would vote for anything with the Trump
Imagine
insignia
if the media were about 50% fair. What would the numbers be?
Oh, come on. If the media was fair, they'd call Trump more out on his lies. You asked about racism. You asked about what's going on in the country in terms of the kind of language used. Imagine if people actually paid attention as opposed to just saying, oh, I'm on the red team or the blue team.
Is that back to
so
Americans
let's get back to the election. We'll get back to the election. That was an interesting discussion. We have a call to make, and that is in Kansas for Kansas governor.
Chris Kobach lost that race. He's at 40%. Laura Kelly has picked it up 51%. This is a Democrat governor race for Kansas. Obviously, Chris Kobach ran into a difficult situation there. Carl, you want to weigh in on this? He was, you know.
That's a red state.
Absolutely.
Well, look, but it's a red state that is of, it's not the deep, hard right red of other states. This is a state where there are moderate Republicans and moderate conservatives. Governor Brownback, who's now an ambassador, had split the Republican Party. Kobach represented the more conservative faction of the party. This is a state that has a reputation of electing Democrat governors than
Kathleen
Republican
Sebelius,
governors.
former HHS.
Right, and Kobach was
Interesting.
too hard to the right for the Republican electorate. He barely beat the sitting temporary governor, former Lieutenant Governor to Brownback, who'd succeeded when Brownback was named an ambassador. Chris got into the race against him, beat him narrowly. The party was deeply divided, and every former living Republican governor plus former Senator Nancy Landon Kassebaum all endorsed the Democrat Laura Kelly for
But the other
governor.
issue there was also the issue of education and education funding in the state, and immigration was Chris Kobach's big thing. Laura Kelly focused on education, and it looks like it paid off.
Joining us now from Indianapolis is the senator-elect.
Looks like they've officially called the Kaufman race.
Thank you very much for coming on, and congratulations on your win. How'd you do it?
Officially called it. That sucks.
I'll tell you what, it was a 15-month journey. 6
Yeah,
days
see,
a
this
week,
hasn't changed in a
14 to
while.
18
So.
hours a day, and you know, my message was we need to send people to D.C. that have lived it in the real world. You know, I built my business in my hometown, and you know, I think if we get more people there, I think we'll see the dynamic change there. That's why I ran. That's why Hoosiers elected me, and I'm looking forward to serving.
Mr. Braun, I heard you in your speech when you were accepting. You talked about bringing back some civility to Washington. You said that it's all gotten too nasty. How do you plan to do that?
Indiana, thank you.
Well, that'll be I'll lead by example. You know, I've always built my business by building bridges, getting along with folks, and I think that if there ever was a time when we need to find a way to reach across the aisle and have ideas, we all
double check this, make sure nothing drastic's changed for us over here in the R.
way to do it. We all need to. We all believe that we've got to put some type of security on our southern border. We all know that we need to start balancing our budgets. It's just going to take, I think, guys and ladies like me that have done things in the real world.
Yeah, that didn't end up even being close.
You know, how much the president finished up his campaigning with you and went to Indiana quite a bit. How much do you put this on the president pushing you and this campaign in Indiana?
I think what the president has done is he's saying that we're not accepting business as usual in Washington. And I'm going there because I believe in that.
Sorry if you're getting dizzy. Scrolling quickly.
I've always been one that has been an
Yeah, see, I don't think they're updating right now. I'm thinking we got all the early voters in, and now we're at the phase of rolling in the rest of it. So.
Well, I like the idea that, you know, we're trying to fix a lot of problems that have been around for a long time, you know, and whether it takes
oh man,
whether it doesn't, I want to see things get done. I want to see the fact that we
Moffat County's in. Let's check them out.
Local governments, state governments, we've got to start.
Let's see how Moffat's doing. Clearly, they didn't trade on us like Garfield.
If we cannot have
voting for a Democrat.
I think it's more about discipline and
looks about right.
The dynamic you get from where I've come
I'd say they have about 720 Democratic voters in Moffat County.
With the president's leadership, with more
it's not a big shock.
We just simply start tackling these problems.
Donald Broom, huh? Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much for coming on, and congrats again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we are following
U.S.
the Senate very
Congress.
closely. Republicans have now picked up 2 seats. Democrats, that means, have to go a long way to get control of the U.S. Senate. They need 4, a net gain of 4. We're watching a lot of tight races, and it's getting down to the wire on some of them.
We're going to take a quick break.
All right. Cruz is back up. That's good. I was a little nervous. Be right back.
You're still here.
We're Voya. We stay with you to and through retirement.
I get that Voya's with me through retirement. I'm just surprised it means in my kitchen.
So that means no breakfast? Voya, helping you to
and through
retirement.
Big plans for this planet.
Preservationists are moving against the tide of history.
What you're doing is not right.
What right do you have to deny the future?
Mars, new season Monday at 9 on National Geographic.
Hey, I'm Sue, and my first call is Crunch.
Delicious 100% real chocolate embracing the lightness of crispy rice. Crunch, the chocolate bar all Americans love.
Forecasts are fickle. Don't change your plans. Change your pants. Duluth Trading Flexpedition Pants. Highly capable clothing. Only at Duluth stores and DuluthTrading.com.
Let's be honest. Every insurance company tells you they can save you money. Save up to 10% when you bundle with Esurance. Including me, Esurance spokesperson Dennis Quaid.
He's a pretty good spokesperson.
Yeah. So when I say drivers who switched from Geico to Esurance saved an average of $412, you probably won't believe me. Hey, actor lady whose scene was cut.
Hi.
But you can believe this Esurance employee, Nancy Abraham. Seriously, send her an email and ask her yourself.
No emails.
No emails. When insurance is affordable, it's surprisingly painless.
See a little blood when you brush or floss? You may have gum disease and could be on a journey to much worse. Try Parodontax toothpaste. It's 3 times more effective at removing plaque, the main cause of bleeding gums. Leave bleeding gums behind with Parodontax toothpaste.
Fox Nation is opinion done right, on demand and on every platform.
With opinion shows and documentaries from the name that you trust.
Become a founder now and get limited time-only merchandise. FoxNation.com. Pre-order now.
At Welch's, the farmer's farm, the trucker's truck, and the El Diablo multi-ton grape pulverizer pulverizes multi-tons of grapes. El Diablo. The world's toughest antioxidants. Welch's. Toughest grapes.
Sorry, guys. Figured you didn't want me to hear me eat. My bad.
New Gold Bond Overnight Lotion. Works while you sleep. Penetrating 10 layers deep as hyaluronic acid locks in moisture. Wake up to rejuvenated looking skin. New Gold Bond Overnight Lotion.
Attention, if you or someone you love used Roundup and were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, call Guardian Legal Network. The WHO has designated glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup weed killer, a probable human carcinogen. Thousands of agriculture workers may have been exposed to this dangerous product. If you were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma after using Roundup,
so early voting's in.
The financial compensation.
Be interesting to see what happens from here.
Now, if you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800
Crazy.
513-3178.
Mountains, not mountains. Crazy how that works, huh?
So we have quite a bit of big news to report. We can call now that the Texas race will go to Ted Cruz, the incumbent Republican.
Yay!
The ability to call the Senate for Republicans. They will retain the Senate with a number of big wins so far tonight, and some still out there.
So Fox News can project that Republicans will retain control in the U.S. Senate. We do not know yet by how many. Right
That's
now,
big news, folks.
for the
Holding the Senate.
But that Ted Cruz win over Beto O'Rourke, significant. It was tight at the end. But
interesting feed on that is
heading back to Washington, and Republicans will
just comes down to like party leadership.
There are still some races
Paul Ryan, I mean, he's been done.
Even more, including Florida, which has
and that's evident because they didn't win. I mean,
against Democratic incumbent Bill Nelson. Let's
Senate
just get reaction to the Senate staying in Republican.
McConnell, and he's at least been putting up a fight.
If the
fighting out there
win one house,
doing his job.
I think he clearly would have preferred what he's done, which is winning the Senate, because it does allow him all the nominations to the courts, perhaps another nomination or two to the Supreme Court.
That is true.
To get new
big deal there.
Members of his cabinet appointed if he decides, and we hear that there's going to be a significant shuffle. If I may just put,
wish they get this stuff in so I could call it.
We are overstating the importance, not the importance, but giving too much credit to Donald Trump for holding on to the Senate. The fact is, this was a historically difficult year for the Democrats. The Democrats had 26 seats that they had to defend. The Republicans had 9 seats they had to defend. And Donald Trump won in 10 of the states the Democrats were trying to defend. What we're talking about tonight is, and I'm not in any way diminishing Donald Trump's efforts or the fact that he's held on to the Senate and the importance of it, but we're talking about the fact that the Republicans have taken seats in North Dakota, Indiana, and Texas, which are very red states. So, yes, it's a victory for Donald Trump, but I think it's a tremendous overstatement to say that that Donald Trump pulled a hat out of the bag. This is something he should have been expected to do. He did.
Interesting insight.
Congratulations to him, but let's temper our excitement over Donald Trump's performance tonight.
Sure.
You guys are ready to hear what CNN's saying? Let's do it. Let's listen. Listen in for a sec.
In my home Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we've only called one flip there. There's going to be more than one flip there. We've only called one flip in Virginia. There's probably going to be more than one flip in Virginia. We've only called 2 in Florida. There's probably going to be more than that. And look at John's obsession with Texas and what's going on in Texas. Whether or not Beto O'Rourke wins the Senate seat, how many Democrats he brought out to vote that are going to fell at least 1 or 2, if not more, House Republicans in the Lone Star State.
Yeah, it's a tough fight in the Senate for the Democrats, but looking very good for the Democrats in the House of Representatives, and they're scoring some points among governors' races as well.
Oh, that was always going to be an area where they picked up a lot because Democrats controlled so few of the governorships, but they are picking up governorship after governorship, and that's going to be a real area. At the end of the night, probably the story of the night will be Democrats lose some Senate seats, regain the House, and win a lot of governor's offices.
That's what it looks like. Dana, you got another major projection in the Senate.
Oh, they saw her.
That's
oh,
right,
no.
Wolf, a big pickup for Republicans in the state of North Dakota. CNN can project that Kevin Cramer, the Republican candidate, who's now the Republican at-large.
I'm interested if they have called.
And be the U.S. Senator, defeating incumbent Heidi Heitkamp, who people on both sides of the aisle have seen as the most endangered Democrat. Now CNN is projecting that she is lost.
Ted Cruz race, yeah.
Go into
be interesting to see if they have.
So what
I
does
doubt
this mean,
it.
again, for the balance of power in the Senate?
Excuse me.
49 Republicans, because we now have 2 pickups, adding North Dakota to that list. 13 seats remain to be called in the U.S. Senate. Democrats were hoping that they would have a miracle in states like North Dakota, but it hasn't happened. Only one of these competitive states has gone the Democrats' way, and that's West Virginia. Wolf and Jake.
You know, it's very interesting, Jake, because the Republicans already have guaranteed 49 seats. They need only one more to get to 50. That's the magic number for them because the vice president would break any tie. They're very close, but they presumably could increase their majority. Right now it's 51-49.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't even called Florida yet. We don't know what's going to happen there. Let's take a look at the balance of power here in the Senate. 38 Democrats, 49 Republicans, 13 seats remain right now in terms of how many are outstanding. 7 seats remain. And let's look. Okay, so we have called Menendez in New Jersey and Manchin in West Virginia. They will be reelected. On the Republican side, Tennessee stays in the Republican column with Marsha Blackburn's victory. Indiana with
looks
Joe
like they have
Donnelly
not
losing.
called it yet.
North Dakota with Heidi Heitkamp losing. That's now 49 seats. So what's left? We have Florida, we have Missouri, we have Montana. Those are 3 very competitive races. Any one of those Democratic seats could flip to the Republican side, whether you want to say Nelson loses and it goes to Rick Scott, Missouri loses, Claire McCaskill loses in Missouri and it goes to Josh Hawley. But let's just assume that in the Mississippi election, that they just keep that. Well, that's it. That's all you need. Mississippi. And that's not, I'm not going out on a limb to say the Republicans are probably going to win the Mississippi Senate race. So, it's not going to be a challenge for the Republicans to keep the Senate. What's going to be a challenge for the Democrats is to keep these losses to less than right now. They've already lost 2.
I'm saying they win this one,
Florida,
this one,
now, who knows
this
what's
one,
gonna happen. And then there's Claire McCaskill
D2,
as well. We don't know what's going to happen with that, and John
and that
Tester
one
as well. And so that would give 52 seats. You wouldn't need Mike Pence to be breaking any ties. And
Montana's the only one they probably hold. They continue to hold anyway.
It's 54.
That's my guess.
We'll put John Tester over here just for the sake of it. That's a 53-seat majority based on just the early returns that we have.
Heller's
this is
probably winning Nevada. Just FYI,
rather than just extrapolating. But the Republicans are going to pick up seats in the Senate.
You know, but if you take a look at that, there's a difference. If the Republicans have a 50,
this is all pretty much said, I think.
52 or 53 or 54. They're sitting pretty comfortably in the Senate as far as confirmations of controversial judicial nominees. If there's another Supreme Court nominee, for example, they're looking pretty good.
Wow.
Think about somebody like Susan Collins, the Republican senator from Maine, and all the
we're getting crushed right now.
In the last 2 years because her vote was
so to answer the question, Colorado or California, seems to be the answer is California.
They did not vote for the repeal of Obamacare. It had huge
yucky.
That their concerns were listened to when it came to the Kavanaugh.
We have a major projection right now.
Uh-oh. We're calling Texas.
And CNN projects that Republicans will maintain control of the United States Senate. This is an important win for President Trump and for the Republican Party.
That's your big projection. It's like
into the night knowing their chances
replay.
of reclaiming a Senate majority were slim. Once again, CNN projects Republicans are holding on to.
Cool. Not shocked. Let's check this. Let's see where we're at here.
Tweets, or they like every position on immigration.
They've already called that Senate seat,
but I think most in the party realize that if you're not aligned behind the basic principles of kind of this conservative populist approach of Trump, not his tone necessarily, but his policies, you're not going anywhere. And by contrast, the Democrats are going home to more of a Ocasio-Cortez party, which I think in 2020, to Carl's point,
dang.
I don't think that works.
I don't think that's a fair thing to say about the Democrats.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're such good shape right now that.
If you look at the Democrats who are winning across,
scary stuff, guys.
Gail Spanberger, Jennifer Wexton, look at them.
The reason that New Hampshire, Republican governor in New Hampshire, huh?
Is because they got women.
Oh, they've already called the Stapleton.
Or intelligence credentials.
They called it for Polis. So looks like Polis is going to win.
Where they won, and let's see what their policies are.
That's a real buzzkill.
the Republicans credit for holding on to the
So
Senate,
do we stay or do we move? That's
is
the question.
Well, I think Dana, weigh in here.
Well, I think I'm interested in the urban versus rural split, and I think you've seen this in all of these races. It was evident in 2016.
This is why right here. Blame it on Garfield County.
And just talking about the
It's
Senate
crazy.
and the House.
Look at this Western Slope teamwork here. Ready?
What 2018 meant
Moffett,
to them, what
78%.
what they believe in,
Rio
and how
Blanco,
they go forward in 2020.
81%.
Because can Republicans figure out a way to make inroads into the cities?
61%.
Is it possible for them to do that? I think so, but they're going to have to try. And vice versa with the Democrats. They have not
Garfield?
immigration.
Nah, we're going to go Democrat and Garfield.
Disciplined in their message and talking about health care. And maybe that pays off for them right in the House. But then the question I guess for the left and the right is, okay, then now what do you do about it legislatively? If you are going to have split government going into 2020, which as we all know, that's a big deal, can they come to find some sort of agreement that the American people can support, or will it just be more fighting? And these are the very same issues that will be talking
crazy.
About having split government, according to the Fox News desk.
Yes, let me amend my verb.
Yes, otherwise, Star Wars would be
I'm still just baffled by this. Like I said, I don't know if you guys were all here earlier, but
Democratic Congressman Jared Polis.
Oh, you're going to hear Colorado call.
Gay man to win a gubernatorial election in the U.S. history by defeating GOP Treasurer Walker Stapleton to succeed term-limited Democratic Governor John Hickenlooper, who's also talking about possibly running for president.
So Garfield,
Republican Governor Chris Sununu will win a second term by defeating Democrat Molly Kelly.
Crushed.
Obviously, very important when it comes to.
I said earlier though,
Republicans in control in Vermont.
I went to that debate at CMU, listening to Polis and Stapleton, and I knew right then it was over. It was just so bad on Stapleton's part that I went, oh, we're done. We're done. Republicans are done for governorship in Colorado.
That in Congress, particularly with some of these swing
crazy part is the surprising part is
that you're going to see a lot of the
all the other state offices look like they're going Democrat, and for years, long time they've been Republican held. So,
as we talked about in some of these states, Charlie Baker,
my opinion, this is my opinion. Don't hate me because I say something bad about Donald Trump, but when you are out there being so negative,
moderate Republicans, but they're going to be in state houses,
so negative,
this is really going to be the party of Trump in Congress.
About stuff in the regard he is. That's what it affects is the rest of the party. So like this got the Democrat vote out because they were like, oh, we got to go vote against Donald Trump. So you have a big influx of Democrat voters, and that hurt all the other state races, which sucks. I don't know. I really don't know how much is going to change stuff. I know this Dave Young guy's fairly moderate. That one's still pretty close. This one's bad. And I'm hoping this ends up going in Brockler's favor because this Weiser dude's a nut job.
But you're not bored.
Not bored at all.
This guy wasn't too bad. That's why you're actually seeing a pretty good amount of votes in his. So.
Let's listen in for a minute.
Oh, you guys want to hear Mitt Romney?
Issue a hearty congratulations to my friend Mitt Romney. He's going to be an outstanding United States Senator. Don't you agree? And with the Republican majority that
I thought Mitt Romney lived in Pennsylvania, but apparently I don't know anything.
This good man. I look forward to working with him.
I just don't know. Just don't know.
Where's the governor and the first lady? Come on up here.
Okay. The other thing that this all tells you is we may need some revamping at the Republican state party offices. It's clearly something wasn't done right.
And what I like about this is you're going to take back to Washington, D.C., Utah values.
Do a quick check on 112.
And help us get
see how 112's looking right now? Last time, a couple times I've checked, they haven't increased anything, so I'm guessing that was all. Oh, no, they did update it. No, that's the same it was. I lied. 20%. I'm still predicting 30%. 70-30. 70 no, 30 yes by the time it's said and done. These are both going down. Transportation bills are going down. 75, I don't remember what that is off the top of my head. 74 was government compensation for land use or whatever, which I actually voted for because I think they should be responsible. 73 was education. That's going down. These are all pretty cut and dry. Nothing too major here. Y and Z were the redistricting, so that should help.
And caffeine, so they're just naturally happy there. So the bottom line is that the conservative.
So all in all, looks like a pretty mediocre night. I mean, we're gonna lose the House at the federal level, retain the Senate. And the state Senate stuff's a little too hard to call at this point, but excuse me. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Women problem because it's real. But I'm excited. It means judges keep moving forward on the
7.
conservative side, and it's going to put some pressure on all of us to up our game.
Senator, it's Brett.
My Atlanta, 7 seats is all we're going to hold.
See that this is going to be investigation after investigation.
Oh,
and how do you
well, I guess that's not
Senate
exactly
and the
right
House
because
working
they're not
together, if
all. And I don't know what they were before, so I don't know what we're losing. I know.
I've been there, done that with Clinton. Didn't work out for us. I would think twice about it.
This is definitely would be a seat lost if this maintains. Tony Sanchez as well.
DACA for the wall. There's actually something you can do on
and I think we only had a 1 seat advantage in the state Senate.
But the reason we won is I think
so that's not great news. I don't know about this one.
And President Trump worked his butt off
but
to get out the
I
Republican
know he was sitting.
I'm feeling really good now. This is a good night for Republicans in the
State House. I can't imagine we pick up State House seats. Just all the volatility around.
If they want to investigate Trump to death,
these are every district, so if we go through.
Senator, you said that
excuse me, got the hiccups.
To learn when it comes to women in this country. Perhaps some of that goes to the issue.
1, 2, 3,
it goes to some of the issues of
4,
for the
5,
president.
6,
You're close to him. What kind of
7,
advice would you have for him on that issue tonight?
8.
I think he said something right before the vote came in that, maybe tone
9, 10.
President Trump's been a great commander-in-chief.
11, 12,
safer, we're more
13,
but, style
14, 15, 16, 17,
by any measure on the Senate
18,
side. Great night
19,
and I think the House, if they
20,
do take
21,
over the majority, the Democrats
22,
will be close. But you need to learn from every
23,
election.
wow.
I think the president has already started the discussion
24,
about
25,
things we can do with
26. So yeah, we're gonna be way behind State House. Rick Bite, you still here? You still on here?
You were a big part of that hearing, the Kavanaugh hearing, and obviously.
Hulk Daddy, you might be here too. I don't know.
What percentage do you think that affected what you're seeing in the Senate races?
Chris,
who's all here? Let's see. Who's still watching?
The Kavanaugh hearing, which was despicable, a Democratic debacle. It united every Republican, no matter what stripe of Republican. This was a good man that had his life ruined.
They had Chase. I swear that was a professor at Mesa.
We
swear.
congratulated President Trump for nominating Kavanaugh, and we were disgusted with what the Democrats tried to do.
I know you're there, but you didn't go to Mesa.
I think it had a lot.
That's what I was asking about. Trying to figure out if Thea Chase was one of the business teachers at Mesa. I think that's where she came from.
A very bad vote for them to take. The caravan did not help either.
Senator, when we watched all of that play out with Brett Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh now, some of the strongest voices were Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, the senators who came out the most strongly against him, and that they are both expected to be potential candidates. Is there a message for them tonight from what we're seeing?
So 2 of the biggest counties remaining haven't been called yet. I don't know how they're quite calling the governor's race already.
Kavanaugh, you destroyed your colleagues. Claire McCaskill, I think she's probably going to lose. Joe Donnelly's a fine guy. But when he voted against Kavanaugh, that was it for me. I hope Tester loses. Manchin won. He was smart enough to vote for Kavanaugh. I think red state Trump Democrats, it was a nightmare for them the way Spartacus and these other people handled the hearing. So maybe they don't understand this, but I do. You have a lot.
Lindsay, please tell me you call him Spartacus when you were at Senate hearings. I would think a lot more of you if you did that.
Is because of the way you treated Brett Kavanaugh.
I think that's the perfect name for him.
With suburban women. I think President Trump is well on his way to getting reelected, and we'll see what we can do with the Democratic House.
Come on.
Senator, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Well, we've got a lot more coming. We're watching these races in Florida.
I'm still not sure how this is
and we're going to bring you an update about Florida.
close.
We're going to bring you an update about Missouri. Guess what? We're going to check in on Michigan. Where's
Excuse
Michigan
me.
been? Let's get some raw.
Where's Larimer County been? Get your shit in. What we're waiting on.
Stay with us.
We'll be right back.
Need you to get your information in.
My name's Gary Hart. I'm running for president.
On November 6th, witness the shocking true event that unraveled a nation.
Do you feel like you have a traditional marriage?
The turning point when privacy ended.
He is a man with power, and that takes certain responsibility.
Hugh Jackman's performance is phenomenal.
Should I sacrifice my privacy, my self-respect?
That'll be an interesting movie.
Get through today.
There's going to be a story tomorrow about me. Hugh Jackman is the frontrunner. Rated R. Everywhere.
Oh.
My name is Elaine Barber, and I'm a 5-year cancer survivor. Being diagnosed with cancer made me rethink everything in my life. The things that became important to me were the relationships with people. We pulled together closer as a family. I had so many people at CTC.
Figured that would fail, but
to go through the treatments, to prepare me for anything that I would have.
I'm just interested on whether 112 is going to go down what I predicted. I liked my prediction, 70-30.
So I started helping at the school for special.
It's just too radical.
I
I knew it didn't really stand much of a chance.
The reality of cancer is not everybody survives.
When you go too far, you don't get support.
It's a big deal at CTCA.
That's why you heard Jared Paul's back way off it, stuff like that. He knew if he went against it, he wouldn't stand a chance. Even though he's the guy that's like 100% renewable by 2030 or whatever, like spooky stuff. So, yeah. Can't say I'm super shocked about tonight. It's been pretty predictable, I'd say. This one's ended up being a little closer than I thought it would. But this gal is disaster, so I'm glad she didn't win.
Thank you.
And hopefully Y and Z kind of split this up, because look, you got, this is a close district. Maybe you can consider that a close district. The rest are all Democratic strongholds and have been forever. This is just nuts.
This holiday, give the gift of Peloton.
Good thing that's passing. That's a big deal.
How did you know?
Nothing outlasts Energizer.
This just seems wrong, and I'm sorry I keep going to it, but it's not adding up. Not adding up.
Energizer Ultimate Lithium. It's the #1 longest lasting battery.
This way. Yeah. What is this?
They have cameras.
Scarecrow Service, brought to you by ADT.
All right, let's look at some of the tight races we're looking at right now, and one of them is in Florida. The Senate race there.
Ooh, too close to call.
About 60,000 votes over incumbent Nelson, and we're not seeing a lot of vote out there yet. Karl Rove, where is this?
Well, I've got a handful of precincts, 7 in Osceola, which is up south of Orlando, Tampa, St. Pete, Hillsborough County has 23 out, 19 precincts out in Miami-Dade, out of 907. So, and we've got less than 22 precincts out in Broward County at 577, and 27 out of 871 in Palm Beach, and that's it.
So, I mean, you've got a scenario where you're running out of places for Nelson to pick up the 60,000. Let's go over to Missouri. The Senate race there.
This is a big one.
7% of the votes.
Oh, wow.
Projected in, and you see Josh
voted against Kavanaugh.
A pretty big lead. This is the rural side of Missouri. We're still waiting on a lot of the urban areas in that state to come in.
They were the first to come in with their early vote, and St. Louis County, St. Louis City.
Missouri votes just today.
Absentee. They have the absentee. So they had Kansas City and St. Louis came in first. Now we're starting to see rural Missouri.
Okay, and Florida governor.
Talk to us about that. Andrew Gillum and Ron DeSantis.
Wow.
Early in the evening, it looked like Gillum was way ahead. Now this is extremely tight.
87,000 votes, I think, was the
79.
This was a really, really ugly race.
The thing is that he's actually getting DeSantis is getting fewer votes than is Rick Scott, but he's got a wider margin because there is a third-party candidate that gave people a chance to say, I don't want to vote for DeSantis, but I cannot bring myself to vote for Gillum. Was taking, last time I looked, 44,000 votes.
Oh.
Wow.
What were you going to say, Lauren?
There's a couple of questions that are outstanding, and we don't really know the full answers to them yet. But you think of the billionaires that put money into these races, and I was looking back in August about how all the money in politics was now on the left. Obviously, Tom Steyer, Bloomberg putting in a huge infusion of money late in these races, lots of commercial time bought. Was that money well spent, especially on these Senate seats? And we're seeing in the Georgia gubernatorial race some interesting numbers. 67% of the vote in, and there's a 10-point differential with Kemp up 54 to Abrams 44. Now, again, we'll see how that goes. We don't know where that's going to end up. But think of who came in for Stacey Abrams. Oprah did an amazing event. I mean, if you're a Democrat, Oprah is cool, and she's a great speaker. Obama came in. I believe Michelle had a presence there. This was star power central in Georgia. If this ends up staying
let's see what's going on here.
And the concern about his hacking investigation, then that's another interesting development in a state that's the Democrats are really hoping to flip to permanent blue.
All right,
Can I add? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that we just talked about Laura Kelly winning in Kansas. She's the Democrat there beating Chris Kobach. She's a very pragmatic Democrat. And then if you look at Florida and Georgia, they nominated Democratic candidates that are very progressive.
How are theirs up ahead of mine? That's retarded. I'm literally pulling them off the Colorado Secretary of State's office. Ugh.
But I do want to go ahead. I think a lot of this has to do
Should be using theirs.
Red state, blue state, polarized electors.
Close.
So
Damn.
Trump goes into red areas and he's able to energize. Now we talk about something like Georgia.
We're losing everything.
You have two African
Brutal day.
the lead personalities. In fact,
let's go California.
Pull Scott
You can call us that now.
Nelson. That hasn't happened. And I think a lot of this that we're
ignoring. All right, I think everything's pretty well
the deep South. We're talking about Georgia and Florida.
Decided at this point.
Bring in Obama, bring in.
This is the only seat we may end up taking is the AG seat. I don't feel very confident about these. But, yeah, think I'm going to hop off. Remember to hit that follow button, subscribe button, whatever you're watching on. We will see you on here later. Get some gaming in here soon. Yeah, buddy.
They're the ones being pushed out. I said they don't have.
Thanks for hanging out.
They've separated themselves from Donald Trump, and they don't
have a good
after tonight.
Evening, all.
Interpret it, Lord, the way that I see it being interpreted, people will say, "Oh, Donald Trump is further empowered, especially in the Senate."
I want to look at African American. Michigan, and I think we have that before we head out to Arizona, and that is John.
There we go.
This is the vote that we have in so far.
Thanks again for hanging out, guys. Again, follow, subscribe, and we will catch you later.